Chapter 989. Lu Yuan murmured. With a flash of his body, he flew downwards to find Gu Yuna. As for Di Tian, Lu Yuan didn't have a mood to care about him. Di Tian had escaped this calamity. After landing on the ground, Lu Yuan's body flashed as he headed towards the underground space. At the bottom of the lake of life, Lu Yuan and Gu Yuna were leaning against each other. "Nar, I did something very stupid today. Scold me." Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna with an apologetic expression. If he hadn't unleashed his divine realm aura, he wouldn't have attracted the attention of the divine realm. He wouldn't have missed out on so many opportunities to meet Gu Yuna in the future. "It's not your fault. You were just careless for a moment." Gu Yuna said gently. "No, it's my fault. I clearly remembered, but I got carried away and unleashed my full aura, attracting the attention of the divine realm. In the future, we won't be able to be together for a long time. I'm really sorry. I didn't have much time to accompany you to begin with. Now, we even have to meet secretly." Lu Yuan's tone had a trace of guilt. Gu Yuna shook her head. She stretched out her jade-like hand and gently caressed Lu Yuan's face. She said, "It's really not your fault. You're not like me. You have a lot of things to do. It's too difficult to hide your strength. Sooner or later, it will be exposed. Even if you hide it now, you'll still be discovered when you go to get the Shura inheritance. It's just brought forward now. It's my fault. Otherwise, we could have spent more time together. The Shura inheritance is placed there. I can go get it whenever I want. Unlike now, I can only stay with you for a short period of time. After that, I'll have to leave." Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna and insisted. This matter was ultimately his fault. "All right, then it's your fault. But since things have come to this, we have no other choice. We can only deal with it carefully and make the best use of our time to grow. Obuchi, our hopes are all on you." Seeing that Lu Yuan insisted that it was his fault, Gu Yuna didn't explain any further. She just gave him some instructions about the future. "Yes, I know. I will make the best use of my time to grow quickly. I promise that I will become a god within 5 years and overthrow the divine realm together with you. We won't be sneaking around for too long," Lu Yuan said in a firm tone. 5 years was enough for him to create his own godhood. At that time, he would only be 24 years old. He would definitely be the first person in history to create his own godhood. "I believe you." Gu Yuna smiled softly and leaned into Lu Yuan's arms. "Obuchi, cherish this last bit of time." Gu Yuna blushed slightly as she spoke in a soft voice. "Okay," Lu Yuan replied, then lowered his head slightly. 1 month later, looking at Gu Yuna, who was sleeping soundly on the stone bed, Lu Yuan smiled and gently kissed her on the lips. He then draped his robe over Gu Yuna. He knew that Gu Yuna wasn't asleep. The reason why she didn't wake up was because she didn't want to see the scene of parting. Gently stroking Gu Yuna's flawless cheeks, Lu Yuan's eyes were filled with tenderness. After a while, he stood up and gently drew a line in the air. Lu Yuan's figure moved and walked in. Gu Yuna's eyes abruptly opened. Her purple pupils reflected Lu Yuan's back, and her face was filled with reluctance to part. From now on, she and Lu Yuan would rarely meet each other. Even if they did meet, in order to avoid detection from the God Realm, it was likely that they would come and go in a hurry and would not stay for long. "Damned gods, sooner or later I will kill you all." A vicious glint flashed through Gu Yuna's eyes. She already hated the God Realm to the bone. Now that this group of bastards had made it difficult for her to even see her lover, the hatred in her heart grew even deeper. In front of Lu Yuan, she had to take care of Lu Yuan's emotions. In order to avoid Lu Yuan's worry, she concealed her feelings very well. But now that Lu Yuan was gone, her true thoughts completely broke out. Lu Yuan was sad that they couldn't meet, but Gu Yuna was even more sad than Lu Yuan. In addition to Gu Yuna, Lu Yuan also had Bibi Dan and Chihiro Snow to comfort her. But Gu Yuna only had Lu Yuan. She wanted to be with Lu Yuan all the time. Originally, she didn't agree to be alone with him for 3 months. In the end, this happened. After only a month, Lu Yuan left. Gu Yuna naturally felt very uncomfortable in her heart. She didn't blame Lu Yuan. Instead, she put all the blame on the divine realm, especially the higher-ups of the divine realm. She hated Shura God, destruction god, evil god. Among them, she hated Shura God the most. It was Shura God who waved his sword and injured her severely. You gods won't be proud for long. When Obuchi becomes a god, all of you will be dealt with one by one. Guyuna clenched her fists. Her eyes were full of murderous intent. Outside the Lake of Life, a space crack appeared. Lu Yuan's figure stepped out of it. Smoothing the crack, Lu Yuan walked forward with his hands behind his back. In this month, other than being intimate with Guyuna, he had been comprehending the power of space with Guyuna's help. His strength had already entered the divine realm. With Guyuna's help, it wasn't difficult for him to control the power of space with his comprehension. After a few tries, he was already quite familiar with it. After a while, Lu Yuan arrived at where Di Tian and the others were. "My lord! Greetings, my lord!" Di Tian and the others bowed. Lu Yuan nodded slightly. His gaze swept around and finally stopped on the deep-sea magic whale king. "We should go." "Yes, my lord." The deep-sea magic whale king's body trembled. "Has this day finally come? Brother, father?" Xiaolan ran in front of Lu Yuan. Her jade-like little face drooped. She looked at Lu Yuan with her big eyes, as if she felt something. "Your father won't die. After I become a god, I'll revive him. Furthermore, he doesn't have much lifespan left. When that time comes, he'll truly turn into ashes. I'm actually giving him a chance now." Lu Yuan rubbed Xiaolan's head. Because the deep-sea magic whale king wanted to eat him, he lost one of his arms. After that, he couldn't suppress his cultivation anymore. In less than 100 years, the million-year lightning tribulation would come. At that time, the deep-sea magic whale king would definitely die. There wouldn't even be a chance for him to be revived. Xiaolan knows, but Xiaolan is still a little reluctant. Tears rolled down Xiaolan's blue eyes. "Xiaolan." Lu Yuan hugged Xiaolan in his arms and gently wiped away the tears in Xiaolan's eyes. 5 years. 5 years later, I will give Xiaolan a new father, okay? Lu Yuan asked gently. Chapter 990. Is that true, brother? You're not lying to me, are you? Xiaolan was stunned when she heard Lu Yuan's words. She lifted her head to look at Lu Yuan, and tears welled up in her eyes. "Why would I lie to you? Everything I say is true. Why have I ever lied to you?" Lu Yuan pinched Xiaolan's nose gently as he spoke with a doting look on his face. "Of course not." Xiaolan shook her head. Lu Yuan had never lied to her before. "If that's the case, doesn't that mean Daddy will be able to return to me in 5 years? A smile appeared on Xiaolan's face as she thought of this. She planted a kiss on Lu Yuan's face. "You're the best, brother. I love you the most," Xiaolan said as she kissed Lu Yuan again. "Xiaolan, you can't kiss on the lips," Lu Yuan said with a smile as he cupped Xiaolan's face. "Why, brother?" Xiaolan blinked her large eyes with a confused look on her face. "Why can't I kiss on the lips? Brother and sister can kiss both of you." Xiaolan had seen everything. "Because you're my little sister," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "Oh." Hearing this, Xiaolan nodded as if it understood. "Xiaolan, you can ask Sister Xiao Wu if you don't understand. She'll tell you." Lu Yuan glanced at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu nodded her head lightly to show that she understood. "Got it, Xiaolan?" Lu Yuan asked. "Got it." Xiaolan nodded. "Good girl. Xiao, come here." Lu Yuan waved at Wang Xiao. "Brother." Wang Xiao ran over to Lu Yuan and ran into Lu Yuan's embrace. "Xiao, I have to leave first. I won't be able to see you for a while. You have to be good in the Great Stardow Forest. Don't mess around, and spend more time with your sister Na. She's not in a good mood recently, so you have to accompany her. Most importantly, you have to take good care of yourself. Okay?" Lu Yuan asked. "Got it, brother." Wang Xiao replied softly. "Then I'm leaving," Lu Yuan said. Wang Xiao pecked Lu Yuan's face, and her crisp voice rang out. "Yes, you have to take care of yourself too." "Don't worry, I will." Lu Yuan smiled gently and gently let go of the two. With a wave of his hand, a huge spatial crack appeared in front of everyone. "Let's go," Lu Yuan indifferently said. Then, He grabbed the shoulder of the deep-sea monster whale king and directly entered the crack. The crack in the space slowly dissipated. Your Honor's strength is becoming more and more unfathomable. Looking at the unusually stable spatial energy, Tion could not help but sigh. Lu Yuan's control over space was far above his. Martial Soul City, Martial Soul Palace, Lake Heart Island. A spatial crack flashed into space, and Lu Yuan directly walked out with the deep-sea monster whale king in his hand. This spatial ability is really useful. The distance between the Great Stardow Forest and Martial Soul City is so far, and it actually crossed in less than 2 minutes. I can finally understand the wonders of Na-Er's ability to travel freely. No wonder Na-Er was able to escape from the hands of the 5 great divine kings. This spatial energy is really hard to guard against. No matter how fast one is, they can't catch up to someone who can control spatial energy. Time is supreme, space is king. It's a pity that both Na-Er and the god of space, one of the 7 great elemental gods of the god realm, only have superficial control over spatial energy. True spatial energy is not inferior to the power of order or the power of destruction. In fact, it's even stronger. At the very least, one has to be a godly king to become a god. Na-Er can control too many elements, so she can't put too much effort into spatial energy. As for the god of space, he should be pure garbage. Of course, I'm even more garbage now. I only have superficial control over the most basic of spatial energy. Lu Yuan thought to himself, slightly mocking himself. Reaching out to release the deep-sea devil whale king, Lu Yuan's spiritual power swept over the island in his mind. Not here. Looks like he's in the pontiff's palace. Lu Yuan whispered softly, then turned to the deep-sea devil whale king and said, "Wait here for me to come back. Don't run around. Hide for the time being, and don't get into trouble with the maids on the island. Do you understand?" "Yes, my lord," the deep-sea devil whale king replied, then disappeared and hid somewhere on the island. Lu Yuan nodded. With a gentle wave of his hand, another spatial crack appeared where he was standing. With a slight movement, he entered it. After gaining some control over spatial energy, he really liked the feeling of shuttling through space more and more. In a side hall of the pontiff's palace, Bibi Dawn was reading a document. She wore a purple and gold crown on her head and wore a gorgeous pontiff's robe. Her beautiful jade-like face was filled with concentration, and her jade-like hand was holding a brush dipped in cinnabar ink, lightly sketching on a document. The Heaven-Do Empire is under our control, and the time is ripe. Next, we can launch an offensive and unify the continent. The Xianra Empire's current emperor, Dai Zhongming, is still young, and his methods are immature. Add to that the fact that the Star Luo war god, Lin Yuanjin, died at the hands of Obu Qi, and the Xianra Empire has lost a commander who can completely command the 3 armies. With our current strength, defeating the Xianra Empire won't be difficult, Bibi Dawn muttered to herself as she put down the document. Add to that Zhu Junlin and the Star Luo Dragon King Palace's sub-palace, and we can coordinate from the inside and outside. Conquering the Star Luo Empire will be a piece of cake. A clear and bright voice sounded. Yes, we still have the Star Luo Dragon King Palace's sub-palace and Zhu Junlin, these 2 empresses. Bibi Dawn first expressed her agreement, but halfway through her sentence, she suddenly came to a realization. Her aura circulated around her body, and she immediately turned around. Instantly, her beautiful pink eyes widened, and her aura disappeared without a trace. Beside her, a young man in white was sprawled over a desk, his left hand supporting his chin as he looked at her with a smile. Bibidon's heart trembled at the sight of Lu Yuan's smile, and her face was filled with astonishment. "Yu, when did you come back?" "Today." Lu Yuan's radiant smile was warm and enchanting. Bibi Dawn was slightly dazed. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, she pounced forward and grabbed Lu Yuan's ear. "You little bastard. Why did you suddenly appear in front of me? Are you trying to scare me to death?" Bibi Dawn only reacted at this moment. Lu Yuan had actually approached her without her knowledge. This kind of strength made her feel a little apprehensive. Lu Yuan grabbed Bibidon's jade-like hand and pulled her soft and fragrant body into his embrace. He gently caressed Bibidon's cheek and smiled gently. My Dong heir is the dignified Supreme Pontiff. How could he be so easily frightened? Chapter 991. Don't play this game with me. Since you're here, come here openly. Why are you so sneaky? I think you're deliberately trying to scare me. Bibi Dong snorted and said in a delicate voice. Dong heir, you've misunderstood me. I really did come in openly. Yes, I came in through the main entrance. It's just that you didn't notice me until now, Lu Yuan said with an innocent expression. Bibi Dong fell silent for a moment before asking. Then how long have you been here? It's been a while, Lu Yuan said with a smile. Then why haven't you said anything? Bibi Dong asked. I'm quietly admiring your beauty, Dong heir. You're so charming when you're working seriously. Lu Yuan praised sincerely as he looked into Bibidon's pink eyes. He really did want to talk to Bibi Dong, but seeing how serious Bibi Dong was, he didn't want to disturb her. He just sat there quietly and looked at her. Bibi Dong was very beautiful, and she was even more beautiful when she was working seriously. Lu Yuan couldn't bear to look away from the Empress. Bibidon's appearance couldn't compare to Gu Yuna's. After all, Gu Yuna was a perfect goddess. However, in Lu Yuan's heart, Bibi Dong was even more attractive to him than Gu Yuna. She was like a poppy flower. The more he interacted with her, the more infatuated he became. During his time on the Sea God's Island, Bibidon's figure appeared in his mind very frequently. She wasn't inferior to Chihiro Snow in the slightest. Her position in Lu Yuan's heart was no lower than his first love, Chihiro Snow. She and Chihiro Snow were the two women Lu Yuan loved the most. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, a gentle smile appeared on Bibidon's face. Lu Yuan said she was beautiful. She was naturally very happy to receive praise from the person she loved. Smooth talker. Bibi Dong glanced at Lu Yuan coquettishly, but her eyes were full of tenderness. For 2 years, she missed Lu Yuan very much. Without Lu Yuan, she didn't even have someone to rely on and confide in. Now that Lu Yuan had returned, her heart was filled with joy. I have a glib tongue. Do you want to try it? Listening to Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan asked with a chuckle. I don't want to, Bibi Dong said in a tender voice. No, you want to. Lu Yuan smiled and covered Bibi Dong's cherry lips with his own, much to her surprise. But although she was surprised, Bibi Dong didn't have the slightest intention of struggling. Instead, she took the initiative to cooperate with Lu Yuan's actions. The two of them released the pent-up feelings of longing that had been suppressed for 2 years. Lu Yuan used all sorts of methods in this kiss. Not only did he kiss Bibidon's mouth, his hands didn't stay idle either. When he let go of Bibidon's red lips, Bibidon's eyes were already blurred, and her delicate body was limp in Lu Yuan's arms. How is it, Dong heir? I said you wanted it, right? Your body is very honest. Lu Yuan's chuckle sounded. Little bastard, you're still talking. Bibi Dong lightly punched Lu Yuan, then found a comfortable position in Lu Yuan's arms to lie down. Her pink eyes looked at Lu Yuan, and her lily-white hands gently stroked Lu Yuan's face. Her eyes were full of passionate love. My Empress, did you miss me these 2 years? You're not allowed to say no. Lu Yuan lowered his head slightly and looked into Bibidon's eyes as he chuckled softly. Hearing this, Bibi Dong rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan in rebuke, but her rolling eyes was full of charm. However, she was also a person who dared to love and hate. Normally, she wouldn't be pretentious, and she still dared to admit her own thoughts. Miss, I miss you every day. I don't feel it when you're around, but when you're not around, you can't stop thinking when I'm not around, right? Lu Yuan said with a smile. Bibi Dong rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan again, but didn't refute because she really couldn't stop thinking about it. Lu Yuan didn't care about Bibi Dong rolling her eyes at him. He gently moved forward and once again had an intimate exchange with Bibi Dong, and a kiss of lips and tongues. The two of them were intimate for a while before they slowly returned to business. After all, they were talking about business, and They were almost done talking about love. It was time to talk about business. Obuchi, why did you suddenly come back? Are Na and the others still on Sea God's Island? Is Nana okay? BB Don had a look of concern on her face. Other than Lu Yuan, who Lena was the person she cared about the most, Nana is naturally fine. When I came back, she was already rank 79, and her 7th soul ring is a 100,000-year soul ring. As for me, I returned to the continent to absorb my 8th soul ring, and I missed you guys a little, so I wanted to come back and see you. I haven't seen my dong heir for 2 years, and I really miss you guys. Lu Yuan said in a gentle tone. BB Don glanced at Lu Yuan, but her face was full of smiles. She was happy for Lena's improvement, and she was also very happy for Lu Yuan's love. Obuchi, have you found your 8th soul ring? BB Don asked. I've found it. I'm already a rank 88 soul de law. Lu Yuan laughed. Rank 88? How can it be so high? BB Don had a look of astonishment on her face. He had just obtained his 8th soul ring, and he had already soared to rank 88? Wasn't this a little too shocking? It's because my 8th soul ring is a 1,000,000-year divine ring. Lu Yuan was very honest. He didn't want to hide these things from BB Don, and there was no need to hide them. He firmly believed that BB Don wouldn't harm him. She would never harm him. BB Don was a woman who was very persistent in love. Since she had fallen in love with Lu Yuan, she was willing to give up everything for Lu Yuan. In terms of persistence in love, there weren't many people in the entire Douluo continent who could compare to BB Don. Right now, BB Don might not be a good person, but she was definitely a good woman who was hard to find. She would definitely protect her husband. Right now, in Bibidan's heart, Lu Yuan was more important than anything else. She wouldn't allow anyone to hurt Lu Yuan. As for herself, that was even more so. Lu Yuan's guard against BB Don was 0. He would rather believe that the world would collapse tomorrow than suspect that BB Don would harm him. A 1,000,000-year divine ring? Does such a divine ring exist in the current Douluo continent? BB Don asked with a look of astonishment on her face. Of course there is. Lu Yuan hugged BB Don and told BB Don about the Aqua Fire Dragon King. BB Don was suddenly enlightened. Her eyes were filled with joy. She was happy for Lu Yuan. Obuchi, I didn't expect you to have such an opportunity to meet such a divine beast. It's not just me. You will have a similar opportunity very soon. Lu Yuan said with a smile. What do you mean? Don't tell me you have a similar divine beast for me? BB Don laughed softly. I don't have any divine beasts, but I do have a 1,000,000-year soul beast. Do you want it? Lu Yuan asked gently. Chapter 992. I do have a 1,000,000-year soul beast. Do you want it? Lu Yuan's lips curled up as he chuckled softly. What did you say? BB Don was startled. A 1,000,000-year soul beast? Obuchi wants to give me a 1,000,000-year soul beast? A 1,000,000-year deep-sea demon whale king, a demigod existence. How about it? Do you want it as a sacrifice? Lu Yuan stared at BB Don with his dual pupils, a faint smile hanging on his face. Of course I want it, BB Don hurriedly said. How could she not want a soul ring of this level that was delivered to her doorstep? But where did you get this deep-sea demon whale king from? Would a 1,000,000-year soul beast be so easily sacrificed? Bibidan's eyes were filled with puzzlement. Naturally, it wouldn't be so easily sacrificed. It's like this. Lu Yuan immediately explained the details of the matter from beginning to end. So that's how it is. This deep-sea demon whale king was first beaten half to death by you, and then its lifespan was reduced to less than 100 years. No wonder it was willing to sacrifice itself. However, it deserved it. It actually wanted to eat you. It was really courting death. Bibidan's face was slightly cold, and a trace of fierceness flashed through her beautiful purple eyes. Soon after, the fierceness in her eyes disappeared, and she looked at Lu Yuan with increasingly gentle eyes. Her purple pupils were sparkling and full of brilliance. She gently reached out and touched Lu Yuan's face, and her voice was full of tenderness. You should have kept the deep-sea demon whale king's soul ring for yourself. Why'd you bring it back to me? It's more suitable for you than me. As for me, you can just give me one of your God-bestowed soul rings. Anyway, you have 5 of them. No, a God-bestowed soul ring can only be upgraded to 999,999 years at most. It can never be upgraded to a million-year soul ring because a God-bestowed soul ring is condensed from a God's divine power. A million-year soul ring requires a God's divine power to condense. Even a God will suffer great harm after condensing a million-year soul ring. Similarly, a million-year soul ring can greatly enhance a soul master's strength. It is far from being comparable to a 100,000-year soul ring. Although the deep-sea demon whale king is still a step away from a true million-year soul ring, that is the result of him suppressing his cultivation. At the final sacrifice, he can cross this step and become a true million-year soul ring. A million-year soul ring is useful to me, but it is not as important as you think. I already have a divine ring that is superior to a million-year soul ring. This million-year soul ring is specially left for you. You are still lacking one last soul ring. So let this deep-sea demon whale king's soul ring lay the most solid foundation for you to become a god. When the time comes for you to become a god, relying on the solid foundation you have before becoming a god, your strength will be stronger at the same stage. My woman cannot be weaker than anyone at the same stage. Moreover, this person is you, my empress. Lu Yuan said softly, his tone full of seriousness. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Bibidan's heart was full of emotions. Waves of light flowed in her beautiful purple eyes, and the scorching affection seemed to melt everything. Obuchi, Bibidan called softly. My dong air is moved? Lu Yuan smiled and hugged Bibidan even tighter. Bibidan didn't answer. She just tightly hugged Lu Yuan's neck and quietly lay in Lu Yuan's embrace. Lu Yuan lowered his head slightly, resting his chin on Bibidan's shoulder. He gently sniffed the delicate fragrance on Bibidan's body. His mood was calm. Time slowly passed, and the two tightly hugging people slowly came back to their senses. Both of them were intoxicated in this faint warmth. Lu Yuan stretched out his hand and smoothed a strand of Bibidan's messy hair from her forehead to her temples, carefully sizing her up. So beautiful. You are so beautiful no matter how I look at you. Looking at Bibidan's appearance, Lu Yuan once again praised from the bottom of his heart. Bibidan, wearing the Pope's robe and purple gold crown, was the most attractive to him. That kind of empress temperament really made him want to conquer her all the time. This is the side hall of the Pope's palace. Don't act recklessly. Seeing the passion in Lu Yuan's eyes, how could Bibidan not know what he was thinking? She had seen this kind of look in Lu Yuan's eyes many times. Every time she saw this kind of look, it meant that Lu Yuan wanted her. Okay, I won't act recklessly here. Then let's go back. Lu Yuan smiled gently, holding Bibidan's jade hand, and stood up. Don't worry, let me finish reading these documents first. Bibidan sat down again and pulled Lu Yuan's hand, pulling him down. Okay, I'll help you read it. Lu Yuan moved his body slightly, sitting side by side with Bibidan, and also picked up a document to read. Lu Yuan naturally understood these things very well, but he always wanted to be lazy and didn't want to take care of things. Putting aside the document in his hand, he tilted his head slightly and just happened to meet Bibidan's eyes. The two looked at each other, smiled, and looked at the documents in their hands again. After about an hour of hard work, the two of them finally finished dealing with all the documents. Lu Yuan rubbed his wrist, looking at the thick stack of documents beside the desk. A trace of pity flashed in his eyes. Dong Air, do you usually have so many documents to deal with every day? Yes, anything that happens in the continent, as long as it is something special or important, will be handed over to the Holy Temple by the Martial Spirit Branch Hall, and then transferred to me by the Holy Temple. Naturally, there are more documents. What? Do you feel sorry for me? Bibidan asked with a gentle smile. Yes, with so much work every day, I'm afraid you'll be tired. Lu Yuan said gently. Then come back and help me. If you really feel sorry for me, come back early to inherit the position of Pope and take on the heavy burden. Then I can rest, right? Don't say you feel sorry for me, but you're still out there all day. Bibidan said with a gentle voice. Dong Air, you want to pass the position of Pope? Hearing Bibidan's words, Lu Yuan smiled awkwardly, then thought of something and asked with some surprise. Yes, I've been Pope for so many years, I don't want it anymore. I'm sick of it. You can be Pope. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's you or me. There's basically no one in the martial spirit palace who dares to disobey you. Bibidan sighed and said softly. Hearing that, Lu Yuan fell silent. After a while, he sighed softly and said, You can be Pope for now. Didn't you want to see the continent unified? Once you've unified the continent and achieved your goal, you can abdicate. Don't leave any regrets. You want to leave the position of founding emperor to me? You should know that as the person who unified the continent, I'm destined to leave my name in history. Don't you care? Bibidan's face was filled with curiosity. Chapter 993. Do I look like someone who cares about these things? I've always only cared about you guys. The so-called false reputation is like floating clouds to me. And Dong Air, you're underestimating me too much. Even if you're the first person in history to unify the continent and are revered by tens of thousands of people, I can guarantee that my reputation in the future will definitely be far greater than yours. Lu Yuan smiled slightly, his tone full of confidence. Unifying the Douluo continent was indeed a name that would go down in history, but what he wanted to do in the future would definitely be a name that would go down in history. Unifying the God realm, letting soul beasts and humans live in harmony, changing the deformed cultivation rules, and so on. No matter which one it was a truly earth-shattering matter. As long as the legacy of soul masters continued, his name would never be forgotten. After all, the Douluo continent was ultimately still a cultivation world, a world where divine authority was greater than imperial authority. Oh, it seems like Obu Chi is very confident. Hearing this, Bibidan wasn't angry at all. Instead, she was very happy. What she admired the most was Lu Yuan's confidence. If someone else said this, she would only scoff, but since it was Lu Yuan, her heart was full of trust. She believed that Lu Yuan could do all this. Of course, I've always been very confident, Lu Yuan said with a smile. Suddenly, Bibidan couldn't help but roll her eyes at Lu Yuan. This guy really didn't know how to be humble at all. Then can you tell me what you plan to do in the future to make your reputation surpass mine? There was a trace of curiosity in Bibidan's eyes. The monarch who unified the continent, the emperor who was the first to unify the country. This identity was extremely honorable and would definitely be remembered by many in the future. It was very difficult for Lu Yuan to surpass her in terms of reputation. Well, you'll know in the future. Lu Yuan smiled mysteriously. TSK, still playing this game with me. Don glanced at Lu Yuan reproachfully. Lu Yuan didn't mind at all. He pulled Don up and said, Dong Air, now that the matter is settled, can you come with me? You're in such a hurry? Don stared at Lu Yuan with her big pink eyes. Was this guy really that impatient? I'm not in a hurry. I just want you to absorb the deep-sea devil whale king soul ring as soon as possible to increase your strength, Lu Yuan said. Like hell I'll believe you. Now that you're saying this, won't you be up to no good when we get back? Don said calmly, with an expression that said, I've seen through you. Lu Yuan chuckled and said, then tell me if you want to go back with me or not. What if I say no? Don narrowed his eyes and asked, then this place is pretty good. Lu Yuan stroked his chin as he observed the side hall of the pontiff's palace. Bastard! Don cursed softly. This guy is really shameless. How could she not understand Lu Yuan's meaning? Okay, I won't tease you anymore. I want you to go back because I want to have a good meal with you. I haven't eaten with you for a long time. Lu Yuan said in a gentle tone. This was actually his real intention. Although he was very greedy for Bibbiden's body, he wasn't in such a hurry. Anyway, she was his and couldn't run away. He didn't need to be anxious at all. There was plenty of time for this kind of thing at night. Really? Don stared at Lu Yuan and asked suspiciously. Of course. Lu Yuan smiled brightly. His smile was pure and innocent. This time Don believed him. She smiled tenderly and said, It's rare for a guy like you to be so serious. I'm usually very serious. I'm only not serious when I meet you. Lu Yuan said with a mischievous smile. Don rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan, full of flirtatious charm. Lu Yuan smiled gently and held Bibbiden's lily-white hand. The two of them walked towards the side hall's door. Outside the Pope's palace, Lu Yuan and Don walked out hand in hand. Obuchi, Don held the scepter in her left hand, while Lu Yuan held her right hand tightly. It was fine when there was no one around, but now that they were outside the Pope's palace and so many Guardian Knights were watching, her little hand started to struggle slightly. Lu Yuan's actions didn't just mean that Bibbiden's confidants knew about their relationship. This was a thorough declaration to the entire Martial Soul Palace. Although the Guardian Knights were loyal to Don, they weren't the only ones around the Pope's palace. With so many people around, the relationship between Lu Yuan and Don couldn't be hidden. The various elders and consecrators would find out sooner or later. Dong Air, this day will come sooner or later. I don't want to hide it anymore. Let these people see. After the continent is united, I want to announce to the entire continent that you are my woman. I want to give you the grandest wedding. Lu Yuan held Bibbiden's lily-white hand tightly and said in a clear voice. The fact that he couldn't see Guyuna often was a little irritating to him, so he didn't want to hide his relationship with Don anymore. Would Sendoryu and the others know? Then let them know. Sooner or later, they would find out anyway. He wanted to see who would dare to say no to his relationship with Don. With his current strength, there were many things that he didn't need to compromise on. If they didn't agree, he could just directly push through. His past opponents, like the Holy Spirit Church, were no longer in his eyes. Now, apart from a celestial realm, everyone else was just an ant in his eyes. Moreover, the most pitiful of his women was Don. They couldn't even show off their affection in public. Now, he was going to return this power to Don and expose their relationship to the world. Let's go, Dong Air. Lu Yuan said as he held Bibbiden's hand and walked forward. Obuchi. Don couldn't help but call out again. She stared blankly at Lu Yuan and blankly allowed him to pull her along. This was the first time Lu Yuan had acted so strongly in front of her. She couldn't resist at all. However, this time, Lu Yuan's strength warmed her heart. Was she willing to secretly fall in love with Lu Yuan? No, she wasn't willing. She was only forced by circumstances. Now that Lu Yuan was ready to face the storm, she naturally wasn't going to back down. She was going to let them face the storm together. Don thought to herself. She tightened her grip slightly and held Lu Yuan's hand tightly. Lu Yuan was slightly taken aback. Then, a faint smile appeared on his face as they interlocked their fingers. Greetings, Your Holiness. Greetings, Your Holiness. Lu Yuan and Bibi Don were just walking when a man and a woman suddenly appeared in front of them. It was none other than the chrysanthemum Douluo. A hint of astonishment flashed through his eyes at the sight of Lu Yuan and Bibi Don holding hands. He was naturally aware of the relationship between Lu Yuan and Bibi Don, but this was the first time he had seen it so openly. Yes, Lu Yuan nodded in an indifferent manner, while Bibi Don remained silent. With Lu Yuan around, she was used to hiding behind Lu Yuan and letting Lu Yuan handle everything. Chapter 994. When Lu Yuan wasn't around, she was the high and mighty empress, and everyone in the world had to kneel at her feet. However, when Lu Yuan was around, she was willing to conceal her brilliance and let Lu Yuan shine, while she silently supported him with all her might. She could take charge of everything on her own, and she could also be a very good wife. Elder Jew, you seem to be in a hurry. Is something the matter? Lu Yuan asked. I'm fine, Your Highness. The Jew Douluo did indeed have something to say, but after seeing Lu Yuan and Bibi Don in such a state, he felt that he had come at a bad time. Is that so? Lu Yuan glanced at the Jew Douluo, and the pressure imbued within his gaze made the Jew Douluo tremble slightly, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Let's go, Dong Air. Lu Yuan withdrew his gaze and continued onward with Bibi Don. The Jew Douluo heaved a sigh of relief only after Lu Yuan had disappeared from sight. He gently wiped his forehead, and a hint of horror appeared on his face as he murmured to himself, "The holy disciple's aura is becoming more and more terrifying. Just a single glance from him almost caused me to break down. I'm afraid even the high worshipper is no match for him." The Jew Douluo pinched his thumb and middle finger together, and his eyes flashed. The holy disciple and the supreme pontiff are being so high profile, and they're not hiding anything at all. If news of this were to spread, the Martial Soul Palace would definitely be thrown into a frenzy. Other people wouldn't dare to say anything, but it would be difficult to explain things to the High Reverend. However, this doesn't seem to have much to do with me. The High Reverend is on the verge of death, and he's no match for the holy disciple and the supreme pontiff. It's better for me to suck up to the holy disciple. How could he possibly lose with such power? The Jew Douluo heaved a faint sigh, and his body instantly disappeared on the spot. At the angel temple, Sendoryu stood in front of the angel statue with his hands clasped behind his back, and an indifferent expression appeared on his face as he appraised the massive angel statue. Elder brother, why did you summon me so urgently? The sound of footsteps could be heard from the angel temple, followed by the voice of the golden crocodile. Sendoryu gently turned around and looked at the golden crocodile. He asked faintly, "Have you heard about what happened today? What is it?" Golden crocodile asked. Bibi Don and that brat Lu Yuan. Sendoryu's voice was flat, without a trace of joy or anger. I've heard about it. The news is spread like wildfire among the higher-ups of the Martial Soul Palace. Everyone is shocked, the golden crocodile said. I'm just shocked. Does anyone object? Sendoryu asked. The golden crocodile glanced at Sendoryu, only to see that Sendoryu's calm face was devoid of any expression. He hesitated for a moment, then said, "There are people who are muttering in secret, but no one objects. Hee, a bunch of cowards. What about Qianjun Demon and the others?" Sendoryu chuckled coldly as he asked again. They've also maintained their silence, the golden crocodile said. Hearing this, Sendoryu remained silent for a moment. After a moment, he sighed softly and said, "It seems like even Qianjun Demon has changed his mind. When I handed the consecration hall to Lu Yuan, he really did eat them all up. Good brat, he's quite capable. Now, the Martial Soul Palace is their world, and I'm all alone. Even if I'm extremely displeased with them, there's nothing I can do about them." Sendoryu sighed softly with a desolate look on his face. In his opinion, Bibi Don was Chihiro Disease's woman and Chihiro Snow's mother. However, she was now together with Lu Yuan. This was something he would never allow. But so what if he didn't allow it? He didn't seem to be able to do anything about Lu Yuan and Bibi Don. Big brother, seeing Sendoryu's desolate look the golden crocodile couldn't help but feel a pang of pain in his heart. When had Sendoryu, the angel Douluo, ever been so powerless? Big brother, I'll call Obuchi over and teach him a good lesson. After that, I'll make him break off his relationship with BB Dawn. What do you think? The golden crocodile said loudly. Hearing this, Sendoryu looked at the golden crocodile with a strange look in his eyes. After a moment, he said softly, "He might listen to you on other matters because you taught him all those years ago. However, he definitely won't listen to you on this matter. He might even fall out with you. You're not his match." Back then, he was already comparable to an ultimate Douluo. Now, I'm afraid I won't be able to take him down even if I use my divine power. Big brother, are you saying that Obuchi will make a move on me? The golden crocodile asked in disbelief. After all, Lu Yuan was someone he treated like his own grandson. Normally, he won't. However, if it involves BB Dawn, then that might not be the case. Since he dares to reveal himself in such a high-profile manner, it means that he doesn't care about us anymore. Go and call Cher back. Perhaps only Cher can make this kid turn over a new leaf. However, if Cher knows about this, she'll probably be heartbroken. If something goes wrong, it's very likely that their relationship will completely collapse. Not only will it destroy Cher, but it will also destroy the future of the Martial Spirit Palace. Sendoryu's gaze was distant as he sighed softly. It's all Obuchi's fault. Of all the people he could like, he just had to fall in love with BB Dawn. The golden crocodile's white beard trembled. His face was ashen. This time he was really angry. Emotions are the hardest to control. Bibidon's beauty is unparalleled, and that kid's talent is unparalleled. Although I'm very angry that they're together, I can understand. Let's not talk about that disappointing son of mine for now. I'm more worried about Cher. Forget it. Let's not call Cher over for now. Go and call that brat over. I'll have a talk with him. Hopefully, I can persuade him to change his mind. It would be best if this matter could be resolved without Cher knowing. If it really doesn't work, then we'll call Cher. No matter what, he can't be together with BB Dawn. Sendoryu's eyes flashed with a hint of sternness as he spoke. If BB Dawn and Lu Yuan were together, the Qin family's reputation would be affected the most. Who in a martial soul palace didn't know about the so-called matter between BB Dawn and Chihiro disease? Who didn't know about the matter between Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow? Now that BB Dawn and Lu Yuan were together, how could it be good? Whether it was for the Qin family's reputation or Chihiro Snow's happiness, he would never agree to the matter between Lu Yuan and BB Dawn. He would do his best to stop it. I got it, big brother. I'll go right away, Golden Crocodile said. His tone was a little stiff. He was also very angry about what Lu Yuan had done. When I get there, I'll give that stinking brat a good scolding. How dare he like BB Dawn? Golden Crocodile said in his heart. Go, but don't get into a conflict with that brat first. That brat is amenable to coaxing, but not coercion, Sendoryu instructed. I know. Don't worry, big brother. Golden Crocodile replied, then directly left the Martial Soul Palace. Sendoryu looked at Golden Crocodile's gradually disappearing figure and turned slightly again. In the Angel Temple, a faint sigh sounded. Chapter 995. At the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Lu Yuan and BB Dawn were sitting around the stone table, which was filled with all kinds of dishes. Eat some. It's your favorite fragrant pork tendon stew. BB Dawn picked up some food with her chopsticks and put it into Lu Yuan's bowl. Why don't you feed me directly? Lu Yuan blinked his double pupils and chuckled softly. In your dreams, don't you have hands? BB Dawn rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan and said snappily, I have hands, but the food you feed me is more delicious. Lu Yuan had a smile on his face, and his double pupils were staring at BB Dawn. Whenever he was with BB Dawn, he couldn't help but want to tease her. Perhaps it was related to her noble and graceful temperament. He always wanted to see her coquettish look. Sure enough, BB Dawn rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan again. Her pink eyes were watery, and she was extremely charming. Lu Yuan's heart was moved. He reached out his left hand and directly held Bibidon's waist. His whole body moved slightly, and he directly leaned against her. "Can't you be more honest when eating?" Bibi Don rolled her eyes and whispered, "Hee, I can't." Lu Yuan chuckled and answered straightforwardly. Bibi Don shook her head and minded her own business. She turned a blind eye to Lu Yuan's hands moving on her body. Since they were at the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Bibi Don was a lot more relaxed. Moreover, which part of her body hadn't been touched by Lu Yuan? She really didn't care that Lu Yuan was taking advantage of her now. Lu Yuan naturally wouldn't be too reckless. He held Bibidon's waist with one hand and used the chopsticks in his other hand to pick up her favorite dishes from Bibidon's bowl. Lu Yuan's memory was naturally very good. He clearly remembered what Hu Lina, Zhu Zhuqing, and the others liked to eat, not to mention Bibi Don. "Don't just give me food. You should eat some yourself," Bibi Don said softly. Lu Yuan shook his head and said, "Ever since I cultivated the divine body, I rarely eat." "You can eat. I'm fine." Ever since he had evolved into a godly body, he had basically lost interest in food made with low-grade ingredients. He would only have the urge to gorge himself with high-quality ingredients. Bibi Don slightly frowned and said, "Is the food not to your liking? I'll have someone redo it." "It's not the food's problem, it's my problem." Lu Yuan shook his head and explained to Bibi Don. "High-grade ingredients? I'll arrange for someone to look for them." Bibi Don nodded her head slightly. Her jade-like hand picked up a piece of meat with the chopsticks and brought it to Lu Yuan's mouth. "Reluctantly eat some." Seeing Bibi Don pick up the food, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. This woman had firmly refused just now, but in fact, she still felt sorry for him. Since Dong Er has good intentions, how can I refuse? Lu Yuan ate the meat in one bite and praised, "Delicious. Dong Er's food is really delicious." Hearing this, Bibi Don couldn't help but find it funny. This guy really knows how to make trouble, but being with him is actually quite relaxing. Bibi Don secretly thought. After lunch, Lu Yuan and Bibi Don found an open space. Lu Yuan casually waved his hand, and endless terrifying hurricanes swept out, dispelling the surrounding dust and dirt. Then, with a light tap of his hand, green grass and flowers sprouted out, and the original open space instantly became full of vitality. A gentle breeze blew, and the fragrance of flowers and fragrant grass drifted in the air, making people feel relaxed and happy. Seeing the scene of Lu Yuan's success with a wave of his hand, Bibi Don somewhat curiously asked, "Good technique. How did you do it?" "With elemental control and a little bit of vitality." Lu Yuan faintly smiled. He had comprehended a little bit of Gu Yuna's power of creation, and coupled with his own elemental control ability, it couldn't be more simple for him to do this. Elemental control? Obuchi, you really have more and more tricks up your sleeve. Bibidon's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of brilliance, and she said with a light smile, "In the world of Jianghu, there's no harm in having more tricks." Lu Yuan chuckled, and with a casual wave of his hand, the earth elemental energy condensed into a stone platform. The stone platform was 2 feet tall, about 1.5 meters in diameter, and was entirely white in color. Lu Yuan gently stroked Bibidon's cheek and said softly, "The sacrificial ceremony will cause a lot of noise, and the room is too small, so I'll have to inconvenience you by staying outside to absorb." Bibi Don pointed at the absorption environment set up by Lu Yuan and said with a smile, "How is this considered inconvenience? Compared to those people who find a random place to absorb soul rings in the forest, I'm much happier." "It's good that you don't feel wronged," Lu Yuan said softly, and with a slight call of his spiritual power, the deep-sea devil whale king instantly appeared in front of the two. "This is the deep-sea devil whale king?" Bibidon's eyes held a trace of curiosity. "This is a soul beast that's half a step into the million-year realm?" "Yes, this is the deep-sea devil whale king, a super soul beast that's close to 1,000,000 years old," Lu Yuan replied. "Its aura is extraordinary." Bibi Don nodded inwardly. The aura of the deep-sea devil whale king was even stronger than that of Sindoryu. However, when he saw the deep-sea devil whale king's severed left arm, Bibi Don was slightly speechless. Such a powerful deep-sea devil whale king was seriously injured by Lu Yuan, and its arm was directly severed. It could be imagined how high Lu Yuan's strength was. BB Don looked at Lu Yuan with a somewhat absent-minded expression. Unknowingly, Lu Yuan had already surpassed her. She was surprised, disappointed, but more than that, she was gratified and proud. Her man was destined to be extraordinary, destined to be the most dazzling existence in the entire continent. BB Don looked and actually became somewhat infatuated. Dong Air, I know I'm very good looking, but you don't have to stare at me like that. There's an outsider here, so I'll let you look as much as you want tonight. Lu Yuan winked and teased. BB Don reacted, and after hearing Lu Yuan's words, her charming face turned slightly red, and she couldn't help but glare at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled lightly, and then said, Dong Air, go. BB Don nodded slightly, walked to the stone platform, and sat down cross-legged. His second martial soul, the soul-devouring spider emperor, was released. The huge spider behind him bared its fangs and brandished its claws, and the 8 black, red, and red soul rings under its body emitted light. When the soul-devouring spider emperor appeared, its dark and ruthless aura caused the surrounding flowers and plants to wither. Lu Yuan frowned, and a green light flashed in his hand, and all the flowers and plants returned to normal. The evil in Dong Air's martial soul is quite strong. It seems that I still have to deal with it. Pure evil doesn't matter, but that filthy and impure aura must be eliminated. Lu Yuan thought inwardly. Deep-sea devil whale king, go. Lu Yuan waved his hand slightly. The deep-sea devil whale king nodded and jumped into the air, dozens of meters in the air. Its body burned with purple flames, and it instantly transformed into its original form, which was a huge whale 800 to 900 meters long. Chapter 996. The deep-sea monster whale king's body was huge. Apart from Gu Yuna's dragon form and the water and fire dragon king's dragon form, the deep-sea monster whale king's body was the largest that Lu Yuan had ever seen. If it weren't for the fact that it was floating in the air, the buildings on the island would have collapsed under its weight. The deep-sea monster whale king's body burned with purple flames, and its aura rose sharply. Suddenly, the sky changed color, and the wind danced wildly. The whole sky was shrouded in black clouds, and an invisible and impressive heavenly might shrouded everyone's heart. So oppressive. BB Dong's brows furrowed slightly. This heavenly might made her chest feel a little stuffy. Even though she was at the peak of level 99, she still felt like she was trembling under this heavenly might. It's okay, relax, I'm here. Lu Yuan's calm voice sounded in Bibidon's mind, and Bibidon's somewhat chaotic heart slowly calmed down. Since he's here, I won't be in danger. Looking at Lu Yuan, Bibidon's heart was filled with a sense of relief. It feels good to have someone to rely on. BB Don murmured softly. Lu Yuan smiled gently at BB Don, then turned his gaze to the deep-sea monster whale king. The deep-sea monster whale king released its suppression and took a step forward. The aura of the deep-sea demonic whale king suddenly entered a mystical level. A layer of golden radiance gushed out from its purple flames. Its soul power was sublimating, and its body was transforming. This was a complete rebirth. In the sky, dark clouds covered the sky, and silver snakes exploded. The invisible heavenly might was getting stronger and stronger. Sir, I still need some time to transform. The deep-sea demon whale king shouted. Since it had stepped into the 1,000,000-year soul ring, it needed to completely transform before it could offer BB Dong a true 1,000,000-year soul ring. You can transform as you wish. You don't need to worry about Tion Fa. Lu Yuan's figure flashed, and he said indifferently, Yes, sir. The deep-sea demonic whale king responded. The golden radiance on its body was no longer dazzling. That strange aura was rapidly growing and stabilizing. It was also at this moment that a rumbling sound came from the sky. Within the dark clouds, a silver bolt of lightning suddenly struck down. The silver lightning was as thick as an arm. It went straight for the deep-sea demonic whale king. Shatter! Lu Yuan pointed a finger in the air and shattered the lightning. This time it was incredible. Originally, this thunder tribulation belonged to the deep-sea monster whale king, but now that Lu Yuan had intervened, this thunder tribulation had completely risen. This was a provocation to the heavens and must be punished. Immediately, the might of the thunder tribulation skyrocketed. The rumbling sounds continued to resound through the clouds. The entire martial soul palace was shrouded in dark clouds. The heavenly might was like a prison, causing people's hearts to tremble. Outside the island, the golden alligator Douluo had just reached the surface of the lake when he felt the terrifying heavenly might. His entire body started to tremble. What's going on inside the island? The golden crocodile's heart was not calm. He looked around, and suddenly his expression froze. He saw figures standing in the air. His white clothes fluttered in the wind, and his temperament was otherworldly. It was Lu Yuan. Is that Obuchi? The golden crocodile was stunned, and his expression suddenly changed. He noticed the deep-sea demonic whale king below Lu Yuan. Where did such a big whale come from? The golden crocodile exclaimed, and his face was full of horror. It seems that the deep-sea demonic whale king is going to transform into Neptunia. Rumor has it that after entering the million-year level, the deep-sea demonic whale king will completely transform into Neptunia. Now, it seems that it's true. He is indeed walking on the path of dragon transformation. Looking at the deep-sea demonic whale king's body changing, Lu Yuan knew that the rumor was true. Neptunia is good. This is much more powerful than the deep-sea demonic whale king. After this evolution, Neptunia's bloodline should not be inferior to Dtion's. Moreover, it's at the million-year level. If they fight again, Dtion won't even have the strength to fight back. The million-year Neptunia is at least at the false god level. It might even be comparable to a heavenly official. Lu Yuan said in a low voice. But now, let's take care of the lightning tribulation before us first. Looking at the lightning that was gestating in the sky, Lu Yuan's lips curled up. Lightning tribulation, what can it do to me? Crack! Another lightning bolt fell. This time, the power of the lightning was greatly increased. It was originally only as thick as an arm, but this time, it was as big as a bucket. Its power had increased by more than 10 times. This was the punishment given by the heavens for provoking the heavens. Interesting. Lu Yuan waved his hand and held the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear in his hand. Looking at the lightning bolt, he directly stabbed it out. When the spear struck, the lightning shattered. The bucket-sized lightning bolt was directly shattered into nothingness. Not strong enough? Come again. Lu Yuan laughed loudly. Boom, boom, boom. 5 lightning bolts fell in succession, each stronger than the previous one. However, Lu Yuan was not afraid at all. He casually stabbed out with the Dragon Emperor, draining spring spear, and shattered all of them. Lu Yuan clenched his fist. Blue lightning flickered in his palm, bringing about a slight numbness. This feeling was so comfortable that Lu Yuan could not help but squint his eyes. I forgot that the power of lightning can temper the body. Lu Yuan's eyes lit up. He was now a level 2 divine body. If he wanted to improve his physique, it would be very difficult without luck. But now, it seemed that there was a good opportunity. Heavenly lightning tempering body seems to be a good idea. Lu Yuan whispered softly. His figure moved and directly faced the lightning bolts in the sky. Crazy, crazy. Obuchi is crazy. Golden crocodile's eyelids twitched. Facing the heavens and daring to take the initiative to provoke the heavens, Lu Yuan's courage really made his scalp tingle. Obuchi, be careful. Bibi Dawn could not help but open her red lips. She believed that Lu Yuan did things with a plan, so she did not stop him. However, she could not help but feel a little worried. This was a heavenly tribulation. My lord is really a god. Deep-sea demonic whale king's eyes flashed with a trace of admiration. Its body emitted a blue-gold light. Currently, it was at the crucial moment of transforming into Neptunia. With Lu Yuan blocking the heavenly tribulation, it had a chance to complete the final transformation. Martial soul possession. Lu Yuan shattered dozens of lightning bolts in a row. At this time, the power of the lightning tribulation slowly increased. Now, each lightning bolt was comparable to a false god's all-out attack, so even Lu Yuan did not dare to be careless. He immediately summoned the 5-clawed golden dragon king martial soul. 6 red, 1 golden, and 1 ice-blue soul rings flickered with brilliant brilliance. A dragon roar resounded. Lu Yuan held the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear and directly attacked the lightning bolts in the sky. Dragon Emperor spear art, meteorite, silver dragon. Lu Yuan yelled, and a 5-clawed silver dragon that was hundreds of feet long shot out. It carried an extremely terrifying aura as it pounced towards Tianlei. Chapter 997. The wind howled, and thunder rumbled. In midair, Lu Yuan frantically smashed the lightning bolts one after another. A million-year heavenly tribulation, a total of 81 bolts. I've already smashed 70 of them, and there are only 11 left. Lu Yuan held the Dragon Emperor Drained Spring Spear in his hand. His white robe was completely unscathed, and there wasn't a single drop of sweat on his forehead. Heavenly Lightning, you're not good enough. You stopped after reaching the heavenly official rank? Lu Yuan laughed loudly. His smile was full of heroic spirit. He didn't care about a mere heavenly official rank heavenly lightning. Moreover, he really wanted to know how powerful this heavenly tribulation could be. The so-called heavenly tribulation was nothing more than a lightning tribulation that was controlled by the rules set by the center of the God realm, and then sent down by the Douluo continent. There was a limit to the power of such a heavenly tribulation, and it was definitely weaker than the master of the plane. Moreover, the Douluo continent's planar consciousness hadn't formed the master of the plane yet. Even if it did, with the current strength of the Douluo continent, the master of the plane would only be a second-tier god at most. Therefore, no matter how powerful this heavenly tribulation was, it wouldn't reach the level of second-tier god. At most, it would reach the level of a third-tier god. This was also the reason why Lu Yuan dared to face the heavenly tribulation directly. Even if the heavenly tribulation went all out, it wouldn't be able to do anything to him. However, this heavenly tribulation was an absolute death situation for ordinary soul beasts trying to break through to the million-year level. Even if Lu Yuan didn't interfere, the last lightning tribulation that the deep-sea magic whale king had to face after transforming into Neptunia would reach the level of a heavenly official. For the deep-sea magic whale king who was only in the demigod realm, it would definitely die. The gap between a demigod and a heavenly official was an insurmountable chasm, and there was still the false god realm between them. There might be peerless geniuses in the false god realm who could temporarily enter the god realm and kill a heavenly official, but a demigod killing a heavenly official? This was impossible, unless this person was called Lu Yuan and had the god-slaying spear in his hand. Otherwise, even if he was given a super divine tool, it was impossible. It was not that the super divine artifact was not powerful. The sea god, who was at the peak of tier 1 deity, wielded the sea god's trident, could fight against a deity king who did not wield a super divine artifact. The super divine artifact was definitely powerful. But don't forget, there was a requirement of a user's strength in order to unleash the power of a weapon. At the very least, one had to be a tier 1 god to be able to unleash the full power of a super divine weapon. It could be said that the god realm's rule of not allowing soul beasts to become gods was an extreme one. However, there were always exceptions to everything. If a soul beast or a variant species really did become a god and reach the 3rd level of the god realm, then the god realm would become a god. At this time, the law enforcement team of the god realm would personally act to kill them, because at this time, the so-called lightning tribulation would be unable to do anything to them. The thunder calamity couldn't do anything to the gods. The thunder calamity from the center of the god realm could kill the gods, but the center of the god realm could only control the god realm at most and slightly affect the rules of heaven and earth of the major planes under it. It couldn't directly send its power across the planes. The thunder calamity actually relied on the energy of the plane itself. Being provoked by Lu Yuan, the clouds in the sky became thicker and thicker, and another terrifying bolt of lightning descended. Lu Yuan grinned and directly shattered the lightning with a spear. His strength had greatly improved, and the might of the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear in his hand had become even more tyrannical. Below Lu Yuan, the deep-sea devil whale king's body was completely wrapped in bluish gold light. Starting from its tail, it began to rapidly change. The originally extremely thick and solid tail turned into a dragon's tail, and there were some blue dragon scales covering it. It started to undergo the final transformation. Lu Yuan took the time to glance at it and secretly praised it in his heart. The dragon scales were actually fan-shaped, which surprised him. It seemed to be similar in shape to the dragon scales on his body. Could it be that this Neptunia has the appearance of an eastern dragon? Lu Yuan muttered. Were there true dragons on the Douluo continent? There definitely weren't any. Could it be that this deep-sea devil whale king has deliberately transformed into my appearance after seeing my martial soul true body? That's possible. After all, it can change its body shape during the transformation. However, it's only a body shape, and its bloodline is still the same. It's too far from a true, five-clawed, true dragon. Lu Yuan shook his head. Neptunia's name sounded very domineering, but it was at most on the same level as Di Tian's Golden Eyes Black Dragon King bloodline. Compared to him, it was worlds apart. Lu Yuan didn't pay any more attention to it. His body moved, and he directly rushed into the clouds. There were only 9 bolts of lightning left, and he couldn't be bothered to wait any longer. He directly went up to the thunder clouds to bathe in the lightning. Lu Yuan donned his golden dragon battle armor and waved the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear with one hand. He directly burrowed into the thunder clouds, and the dense and boundless lightning surged toward Lu Yuan. Hee, that's more like it. Lu Yuan laughed mischievously. He circulated the power of his bloodline, and his entire body directly rampaged through the thunderclouds. As for below, even Bibi Dawn, who had always trusted him, had her rosy little mouth wide open, and her face was full of astonishment. This guy is too reckless. Bibi Dawn sighed involuntarily. In the god realm, in a huge blood-red divine palace, a tall figure was sitting on a divine throne. A scene appeared in front of him, and it was the scene of Lu Yuan bathing in the heavenly tribulation. This kid's courage is quite extraordinary. Using the heavenly tribulation to refine his body is quite dangerous. However, with this kid's strength, it won't be too difficult for him to pass it. Shura God's blood-red eyes stared at the deep-sea devil whale king that was transforming below, and his brows slightly furrowed. But why is this kid helping this soul beast block the heavenly tribulation? He's so close to this soul beast. Could it be that he has ulterior motives? Shura God's eyes were vague and uncertain. After all, the evil god's words still had an impact on him, so he was quite concerned about Lu Yuan. If he really has ulterior motives, then no matter how high his talent is and how suitable this god's inheritance is, this god has no choice but to eliminate him. A trace of killing intent flashed in Shura God's eyes. If Lu Yuan really did harm to the god realm, then he would definitely not be soft-hearted. But suddenly, his eyes narrowed, and the killing intent in his eyes disappeared without a trace. Haha, so that's the case. It seems this god misunderstood. This kid is very normal. Shura God laughed and instantly understood why Lu Yuan wanted to block the heavenly tribulation. The doubts in his heart were all dispelled, and he believed in Lu Yuan even more. Brat, hurry up and go to the massacre city. Don't play house here all day. Tang Shun is far worse than you. Hurry up and inherit this god's deity position. This god is really bored. This divine world is so boring that it hurts my balls. Shura God sighed softly and said, Chapter 998. Break for me, Lu Yuan shouted, thrusting out the Dragon Emperor drained spring spear. The surrounding silver lightning snakes exploded, turning into pure energy that was absorbed by Lu Yuan. The power of lightning in the thunderclouds was so fierce that even a third-tier god wouldn't dare to charge in alone. But Lu Yuan dared. Not only could he match a third-tier god in his normal state, but he also had a second-tier god body and many divine tools. The Dragon Emperor Drained Spring Spear was even a supra-divine tool. Even if the power of lightning in the thunderclouds was fierce, he didn't fear it. Endless blue lightning struck the golden dragon battle armor, and even Lu Yuan felt a burst of pain. But Lu Yuan wasn't alarmed. Instead, he was happy. He smashed the lightning bolts, absorbing their energy to temper his body and soul power. Lu Yuan directly rose from 80 to 88. Although it could be said that he had accumulated a lot and couldn't be suppressed, rising 8 levels in an instant was still a small problem. Originally, it would have taken him at least half a year to control it, but this heavenly tribulation was a very good opportunity to make Lu Yuan's foundation even more solid. In midair, under the thunderclouds, the deep-sea monster whale king's transformation had been completely completed. It had turned into a blue 4-clawed dragon. Except for the 4-clawed dragon claws and the absence of wings, it was almost the same as Lu Yuan's 5-clawed golden dragon king. It had the appearance of an Eastern dragon. Now that the deep-sea monster whale king had transformed into Neptunia, its aura had greatly increased, and it had already stepped into the rank of divine official. Its original 8 to 900 meters body had now grown to 1,000 meters. When it hovered in the sky, its imposing aura was really threatening. The moment the deep-sea monster whale king finished its transformation, Lu Yuan seemed to have sensed something. His body suddenly erupted with an intense aura, and a loud dragon roar resounded through the sky. Lu Yuan passed the Dragon Emperor Drained Spring Spear to his left hand, and his right hand gently stretched out in the shape of a claw. There was an extremely terrifying power brewing on it. True Dragon Claw. Lu Yuan's deep voice sounded, and his right hand gently grasped. In an instant, an incomparably huge golden dragon claw directly pinched the thunderclouds. Bang! With a loud sound, the thunderclouds that covered the sky were crushed by the claw, and all the dark clouds dissipated. The blazing sun once again showered the world with its resplendent radiance. Lu Yuan slowly retracted his right hand. The might of the true dragon claw was incomparably terrifying. Dtion's dragon god's claw allowed him to fight against a demigod at his limit. On the other hand, Lu Yuan's true dragon claw allowed him to kill a tier 2 demigod with his tier 3 demigod combat power. This was the might of the true dragon claw. Therefore, even though Lu Yuan's strength was only comparable to a third-rank god, if a first-rank god didn't appear, no one in the Douluo continent could do anything to him. Lu Yuan lightly glanced at the sky, then retracted his gaze. With his acute spiritual sense, after comprehending the clear Qi divine power, he could feel that someone was spying on him even though they were separated by a god realm. The immortal realm. Lu Yuan clenched his fists, killing intent flashing in his eyes. His figure flashed, and he directly appeared in front of the deep-sea devil whale king's incarnation, Neptunia. Looking at the huge Neptunia, Lu Yuan indifferently said, "Sacrifice." "Yes, my lord," Neptunia replied. After its successful evolution, some strange thoughts appeared in its mind again, but when it saw Lu Yuan's aura completely crushing it, those thoughts disappeared. It immediately made its choice whether to sacrifice or die. Neptunia leaped down, and its body emitted a bluish-gold light, forming a huge bluish-gold light barrier. This was a magnetic field unique to the sacrifice. Lu Yuan's figure flashed, and his right hand formed a claw. With a light grab, he directly entered the magnetic field. The current magnetic field formed by the deep-sea devil whale king couldn't be broken by even a third-rank god, but Lu Yuan had the true dragon claw, and ordinary third-rank gods couldn't compare to it. Seeing that Lu Yuan was unharmed, BB Don relaxed a lot. She began to circulate her soul power and prepared to receive the sacrifice. At that moment, Lu Yuan felt that the spying from the immortal realm had disappeared. He looked at Neptunia, who was in the midst of the sacrifice, and seemed to understand something. The huge Neptunia's body burned with bluish-gold light, and a bluish-gold soul ring flew out and landed on top of Bibidon's head. At the same time, a projection of Neptunia entered the bluish-gold soul ring. The bluish-gold soul ring emitted a boundless radiance and completely enveloped Bibidon. Endless energy madly converged into Bibidon's body, and Bibidon's aura suddenly began to strengthen. A bluish-gold stream of light emerged from Neptunia's body and landed in Lu Yuan's hand. It was a complete soul bone without any blemishes, a left arm bone. With the sacrifice of a million-year soul beast, the shape of the soul bone could be changed at will, and it could decide which part of the soul bone to be produced. Under Lu Yuan's command, the deep-sea devil whale king produced a million-year Neptunia's left arm bone. It just so happens that I can use it to fuse with my left arm bone. It's already a million-year soul bone, and with the addition of the Titan giant ape soul bone, it should be able to advance to the level of a divine soul bone after fusing with the soul bone fusion card. No, it should be absolutely possible. After all, the deep-sea devil whale king is now at the level of a divine official, and its soul bone is comparable to the lowest divine soul bone. Lu Yuan secretly thought in his heart. Neptunia's left arm bone looked quite extraordinary. The bluish-gold light shone, and the soul bone was full of texture. This was the second proper soul bone that Lu Yuan had obtained besides the golden dragon's right arm bone. Picking up Neptunia's left arm bone and sticking it to his left arm, Lu Yuan had just picked up a golden soul bone fusion card with his right hand when his eyes suddenly focused. Lu Yuan casually moved and put away the soul bone fusion card and Neptunia's left arm bone. His figure moved, and his right hand bent into a claw to tear a corner of the bluish-gold magnetic field. And then his figure directly rushed out. On the shore of Lake Heart Island, the golden crocodile had just come ashore when Lu Yuan's figure appeared in front of the golden crocodile. Obuchi. The golden crocodile looked at Lu Yuan in front of him with a complicated expression. He had seen the scene of Lu Yuan shattering the heavenly tribulation just now. Now, Lu Yuan seemed to have reached an extremely high level, a level that even he and Sindoryu could only look up to, just based on Lu Yuan's move just now. The golden crocodile was sure that Sindoryu was definitely not a match for Lu Yuan. Perhaps Lu Yuan could only make one move, and Sindoryu could not block it. It turned out that, unknowingly, the little boy from back then had actually grown to such a level. Seeing the golden crocodile's arrival, Lu Yuan already had some guesses in his heart. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, is there a reason why you've come to Lake Heart Island? Since he and Bibidon had announced the news in a high-profile manner, he already had his own estimates of some things. The golden crocodile's arrival was also within his expectations. He just did not expect the golden crocodile to come so quickly. Chapter 999. He and Bibidon had only announced their relationship in the afternoon. Not long after lunch, the golden crocodile had rushed over personally. It seemed like Sindoryu was quite resistant to this. Lu Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. Since he had made up his mind, no one would be able to change his mind. Sindoryu? He was far from enough. If not for Chihiro Snow, Lu Yuan wouldn't have taken Sindoryu seriously. So what if he was an ultimate Douluo? He was just an ant. Normally, Lu Yuan would naturally show due respect to Sindoryu on account of Chihiro Snow. However, if involved Bibidon, he could only say sorry. Sindoryu and Bibidon had a very different status in his heart. They couldn't be compared at all. Furthermore, he had already wronged Bibidon for too long. This time, he didn't want to wrong her anymore. Bibidon yearned for true love the most. Now that he was together with Bibidon, he should give her a status in front of everyone. He owed Bibidon too much after hiding in the dark for so long. The other 5 people were all engaged. Only Bibidon didn't have anything now. He remembered all of this in his heart. Although he was a playboy, he truly loved everyone. He would never wrong anyone. He would give Bibi Dawn everything that belonged to her. Now, he was taking the first step to announce his relationship to the world. Lu Yuan's thoughts turned, and his gaze landed on the golden crocodile. Obuchi, Grandpa Golden Crocodile, is indeed here for something. You and Bibi Dawn. The golden crocodile opened his mouth. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Lu Yuan. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, don't interfere in the matter between me and Dong Air. I respect you and don't want to make things difficult for you. You should be here to pass on a message from the head consecrator, right? You can pass on what he said to me, Lu Yuan said plainly. Obuchi, are you really that obsessed with Bibi Dawn? After hearing Lu Yuan's words, the golden crocodile's expression changed. He didn't expect to be completely shut down by Lu Yuan before he could say anything. He couldn't help but ask loudly. Lu Yuan glanced at the golden crocodile and said, Dong Air is one of the most important people in my heart. For her, I am willing to go against the whole world. Also, this is an obsession. This is love. Love? You love her? What about Cher? What do you think of Cher? Let me ask you, is Cher more important in your heart? Or is Bibi Dawn more important? The golden crocodile asked angrily. They are both equally important to me. As for Cher, I care about her more than you do. Naturally, I have already considered the things that you can think of. However, this is between me and Dong Air and Cher. I don't need to explain the specific reasons to you, Lu Yuan said calmly. Good. Obuchi, you're all grown up now. You dare to talk to Grandpa Golden Crocodile like that. Do you know that your actions will destroy Cher and the Martial Soul Palace's future? The gold alligator Douluo was so angry that his beard was trembling. He felt that Lu Yuan was really possessed. He was completely infatuated with Bibi Dawn. He was no longer the same Lu Yuan as before. The old Lu Yuan always put Chihiro Snow first in his heart and was always polite to him. He ran around for the Martial Soul Palace. He was once regarded as the future of the Martial Soul Palace by Sendoryu. As long as Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow worked together, the Martial Soul Palace would be incomparably prosperous. Now, he saw that Lu Yuan was going to bury all of this with his own hands. He was so angry that he wanted to slap Lu Yuan and wake him up completely. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, don't make wild guesses if you don't understand. I won't destroy Cher and the Martial Soul Palace's future. With Dong Air and I, the Martial Soul Palace will soon unify the mainland. When that time comes, the Martial Soul Palace will be completely developed and reach unprecedented heights. Also, I want to say that the Martial Soul Palace is only the Martial Soul Palace. It doesn't belong to the Qian family alone. It belongs to the Angel clan. Since the chief consecrator and you have retired, don't interfere with the Martial Soul Palace's affairs anymore. The Martial Soul Palace now belongs to me and Dong Air. We have our own plans for the future of the Martial Soul Palace. Maybe I've gone overboard, but you have to know that a faction can only have one voice. There can't be two suns in the sky, and there can't be two rulers. I think you should understand this. Also, Cher, you can rest assured. Even if I destroy myself, I won't destroy Cher. It's just that there are some things that I can only tell Cher. It's not convenient for you to know. You should tell me what the chief consecrator wants you to say. After you're done, I'll have to go back. I can't leave now. Dong Air is still absorbing the soul ring. Lu Yuan said softly. The golden crocodile looked at Lu Yuan quietly. The look in his eyes was indescribably complicated. The current Lu Yuan gave him a strange feeling. He clearly used honorifics in every sentence, but to the golden crocodile, it sounded more like alienation. It seems like he's really been poisoned by Bibi Dawn. Bibi Dawn, you're really amazing. You're playing with 3 men in the palm of your hand. Even a genius like Obuchi, who's both talented and intelligent, can't escape your control. The golden crocodile laughed bitterly and said, Obuchi, since you've said so, I only hope that you'll do as you say. You said that Cher is your true love. I also hope that you can treat her like a treasure and not hurt her. As for the chief consecrator, he wants you to make a trip to the Angel Hall. He has something to say to you. Understand? Hearing the golden crocodile's words, Lu Yuan nodded lightly and said, I'll make a trip there after Dong Air finishes absorbing the soul ring. The golden crocodile nodded slightly and suddenly asked, "What soul ring did you arrange for BB Don to cause such a big commotion just now?" "A million-year Neptunia soul ring. Its original form was the deep-sea devil whale king. The heavenly tribulation just now was the tribulation it faced when it broke through to the million-year level and became Neptunia. It couldn't overcome it, so I took action." Lu Yuan spoke very frankly, not hiding anything. "A million-year soul ring? You gave it to BB Don?" The golden crocodile shook his head and turned to leave. Just as he was about to step on the surface of the water, his lips moved slightly and a voice entered Lu Yuan's ears. "You only remembered to give such a good soul ring to BB Don. Do you really care about your childhood, sweetheart? Share? What did you give her?" After the golden crocodile finished speaking, his figure flashed and completely disappeared. Hearing the golden crocodile's words, Lu Yuan raised his sword-like eyebrows and said indifferently, "Cher naturally has a soul ring more suitable for her. How could I treat her unfairly?" Chapter 1000. Lu Yuan turned around slightly with an indifferent expression. The golden crocodile couldn't understand why he didn't support him. This was actually within his expectations. After all, although the golden crocodile Douluo was close to him, he was more loyal to Sindoryu. Other than the golden crocodile and Sindoryu, the rest of the 7 great consecrators of the consecrated hall had already been subdued by him. The Pontiff's palace had already completely become Bibidon's world. In addition, Lu Yuan still had the power of the Dragon King Palace as backup. Now, Lu Yuan basically had the final say in the Martial Soul Palace. In the end, only Sindoryu and the Golden Crocodile objected to the matter between him and BB Don. Of course, their opinions weren't important. Lu Yuan had to consider Chihiro Snow. As for Chihiro Snow, when he knew that BB Don was a virgin, there was already conclusive evidence. Chihiro Snow couldn't possibly be Bibidon's child. But now, he was even more confident. When this mission was completed, everything would become clear. As for the golden crocodile saying that he only gave the best soul ring to BB Don and forgot about Chihiro Snow, that was even more nonsense. In the extreme north, there were still several soul rings suitable for Chihiro Snow. When the time came, he could get his second martial soul and soul ring together. Wouldn't that be great? Together, wouldn't that be more precious than a million-year soul ring? It was just that Lu Yuan couldn't be bothered to talk about some things. What he said casually was just empty talk. The real effort had to be done personally. Of course, he liked to say nice things to coax Chihiro Snow and the others, but the real effort had never been lacking. Otherwise, Chihiro Snow, Zhu Zhuqing, Hulina, and the others wouldn't be so devoted to Lu Yuan. Words and appearances could only last for a while. True love could only be obtained by treating them sincerely. Although he was a playboy, he was absolutely good to everyone. To his enemies, he was absolutely ruthless. But to Chihiro Snow and the others, he had always been soft-hearted. He rarely even said harsh words to them. Gently shaking his head, Lu Yuan walked towards BB Don. BB Don hadn't finished absorbing his soul ring, so he wasn't going anywhere. Casually tearing open a corner, Lu Yuan walked in and looked at BB Don, who was absorbing his soul ring. He smiled, and a touch of gentleness flashed across his eyes. He reached out and pointed, and another stone platform appeared. The 2 stone platforms weren't far apart, so it was convenient for him to take care of BB Don. Lu Yuan sat cross-legged on the stone platform. With a flash of light in his hand, the million-year Neptunia's left arm bone appeared in his hand. Since BB Don was absorbing his soul ring, he could take advantage of this time to fuse and absorb this Neptunia's left arm bone. To be honest, he was really curious. What would this million-year Neptunia's left arm bone look like after fusing with the Titan giant ape left arm bone? Lu Yuan placed the million-year Neptunia's left arm bone on his left arm. Lu Yuan reached out, and a golden soul bone fusion card appeared in his hand. He pinched it gently with 2 fingers, and the soul bone fusion card turned into a golden light spot and flew into the million-year Neptunia's left arm bone. Suddenly, the entire piece of Neptunia's left arm bone turned into a bluish-gold liquid and slowly entered Lu Yuan's arm. It started to fuse with the Titan giant ape left arm bone in Lu Yuan's left arm. Strong energy waves were emitted from Lu Yuan's arm, and there were occasional dragon roars. Under the effect of the soul bone fusion card, these two soul bones started to fuse and evolve, and their quality started to increase rapidly. This wasn't 1 + 1 = 2, but 3 or even 4. This wasn't a quantitative change, but a complete qualitative change. It seems like I've underestimated this soul bone fusion card. Even if the quality of these two soul bones can't compare to a grade 1 God's bone, like the Golden Dragon right arm bone, their quality shouldn't lose to the Golden Dragon armor at this stage. They should be comparable to ordinary grade 2 God's bones. Of course, this is only at this stage. The Golden Dragon armor is an external soul bone, and it might even evolve into a super divine weapon. It's far from what these two soul bones can compare to. Even the Golden Dragon right arm bone will be surpassed by the Golden Dragon armor sooner or later. An external soul bone is an external soul bone, after all. Its value can't be compared to ordinary soul bones. Lu Yuan sighed to himself as he felt the strong energy waves in his left arm. The fusion of the soul bones will take time. It seems like it'll take about 2 hours. Lu Yuan thought to himself as he looked at BB Dawn. Since he had to wait for such a long time, he had to find something to do. Looking at BB Dawn was a good idea. 2 hours wasn't a long time, and Lu Yuan stared at BB Dawn as time passed quickly. The two soul bones in Lu Yuan's left arm had also completely fused. It seems like the million-year Neptunia's left arm bone is the main one. It has completely devoured the Titan giant ape's left arm bone and absorbed its essence to improve its quality. However, this is normal. One is a million-year soul bone, while the other is only 100,000-year soul bone. It's reasonable for the big one to devour the small one. The Neptunia's left arm bone originally had water and thunder attributes. Now that it has the Titan giant ape's control of gravity and earth attributes, its quality has indeed improved by a lot. Lu Yuan clenched his fists and felt that his strength and physique had become stronger. He couldn't help but smile. Let's give it a name. But what should I name this new soul bone? Lu Yuan stroked his chin with his right hand and hesitated for a moment before saying, since Neptunia's soul bone is the main one, and the Titan giant ape soul bone has been fused, let's call it the sea god's left arm bone of earth and gravity. Oh, this name sounds a little lame, but so be it. It's just a name anyway. Lu Yuan shook his head and didn't bother about it anymore. The name wasn't important. It was fine as long as the soul bone was useful. He could just call it the sea god's left arm bone. It was simple and easy to understand. After all, it was based on Neptunia's left arm bone. There seemed to be nothing wrong with that. Lu Yuan nodded, indicating that this was the case. After absorbing this soul bone, Lu Yuan's soul power increased again. He was now a rank 89 soul Douluo. He was only one step away from rank 90. He was only one step away from absorbing the Fire Dragon King's soul ring and becoming a titled Douluo. But before that, I have to condense the second golden core. Last time, I condensed a golden core of chi and blood. Now, I can condense a golden core of soul. Once I gather all 3 golden cores of essence, chi and spirit, the road to the immortal state will be smooth. Lu Yuan was elated when he thought about the future. At this moment, a strong aura erupted and attracted Lu Yuan's attention. Bibidon's papal robe fluttered, even though there was no wind. A terrifying aura was released. This aura had completely surpassed Sindoriu's, Pasizi's, and even the deep-sea demon whale kings. Pseudo-god, Lu Yuan couldn't help but murmur when he felt this aura. A hint of joy flashed across his face. Chapter 1001. The fact that BB Dawn was able to reach the semi-divinity realm was definitely something worth celebrating. After all, the semi-divinity realm was the highest level of power below the god realm. Even a demigod would be no match for a semi-divinity. The sacrifice of the deep-sea devil whale king's incarnation of Neptunia had allowed Bibidon to reach the semi-divinity realm. This made Lu Yuan very happy, but it was also within his expectations. After all, the energy of a million-year soul ring was simply too vast, so it was normal for such an increase to occur. The reason Lu Yuan's soul power didn't increase by too much each time was actually because his golden dragon battle armor, Atlas Palm Bone, and dark golden Terrorclaw Bear's right arm bone were evolving. In addition, he had to strengthen his divine body, so he had absorbed too much energy. Even so, the remaining energy was still enough for him to increase his rank by a lot. If it weren't for the fact that he had been suppressing himself, Lu Yuan would have already reached the titled rank. However, Bibidon didn't need to do that. He didn't forge his divine body, so he didn't lose too much energy. Now that the 8 purple wings had undergone some modifications, all of the remaining energy had been absorbed by her to increase her soul power, so it wasn't surprising that she could reach the semi-divinity realm. However, speaking of energy, Lu Yuan's gaze shifted to Neptunia's enormous body in the sky. The origin energy of the soul ring had indeed been completely absorbed by Bibidon, but there was still a lot of energy left in Neptunia's body. As the first million-year soul beast in history, the sea god dragon's remaining energy wasn't any weaker than the Sky Dream Iceworm's. In fact, the sea god dragon might even have more energy than the Sky Dream Iceworm. It would be a pity to just throw its body away. Lu Yuan didn't touch the Aqua Fire Dragon King's bones because he needed to maintain the Ice Fire Yin Yang well. However, it would be best if he could make full use of Neptunia's body. Furthermore, the Deep-Sea Devil Whale King has a whale pearl in its head, so Neptunia should also have a dragon pearl. That thing is a treasure. The original whale pearl could transform into the Neptune's heart, so the current dragon pearl, TSK, it must be even more useful. Lu Yuan thought to himself. With that thought in mind, Lu Yuan casually pointed a finger, and the lake water around the island began to rapidly freeze over. Lu Yuan waved his hand and placed Neptunia's floating body on the surface of the lake. Otherwise, the island wasn't large enough to contain Neptunia's body. After Lu, she suddenly opened to the world, to the divinity realm. Hers aura condensed to the limit. She suddenly opened her eyes, and her pink pupils to be sparkling pink sparkles. Beneath her body, 9 soul rings, black, red, blue, and gold, gently swayed and sparkled. My strength. Bibidon sensed the power in her body, and a trace of shock flashed through her eyes. She's so strong now. She's so strong that it's terrifying. Perhaps she hasn't become a god yet, but she should be invincible under the god realm. You become a lot stronger, Dong Er. Lu Yuan smiled and walked toward Bibidon. Suddenly, Lu Yuan's expression changed. He grabbed a spider leg that was attacking him with one hand, and there was a trace of helplessness in his eyes. Is it really okay to bite the hand that feeds you? Dong Er, I just wanted to test your strength. It seems that I'm still not as strong as you. Bibidon sighed softly. Lu Yuan had only grabbed her spider leg, but the strength that came from his body caused her soul force to scatter. It was clear that she was still far from being a match for Lu Yuan, even in her current state. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's mouth twitched, and he gently let go of the spider leg. Bibidon's delicate body trembled, and she withdrew her martial soul. In an instant, Bibidon, who looked slightly malevolent due to the release of her martial soul, became a beauty that would captivate the birds and beasts and put the moon and flowers to shame. Lu Yuan took 2 steps forward and pulled Bibidon into his arms. He fiercely kissed her red lips a few times. Looking at her slightly red cheeks, he said, "You and Cher have the same temper. After breaking through, you both like to use me as a test subject. I worked so hard to find soul rings for you to break through, but you both always want to beat me up after breaking through. Dong Er, where's your conscience? Doesn't your conscience hurt?" Lu Yuan's right hand reached down, and Bibidon's face immediately turned red. She hurriedly grabbed Lu Yuan's naughty hand. "Don't touch me," BB Don said coquettishly. "I'm just touching to see if your conscience is still there." Lu Yuan said indifferently. BB Don spat and said, "Bah, you're obviously thinking of doing something bad. Don't think that I don't know your temperament. You're a pervert." "How am I a pervert? Even if I want to do something bad to you, it's natural, right? You're my woman. I can't even bully my own woman." Lu Yuan pressed down on Bibidon's head and kissed her again. He tasted Bibidon's fragrant lips to his heart's content, and only let go after a long while. At this time, BB Don had already been completely addicted. Finally, she quietly lay in his arms. No matter how strong a woman was, there was no such thing as not being able to kiss her. If there was no such thing, it meant that the kiss wasn't enough, or that the technique wasn't good enough. Lu Yuan gently hugged BB Don and stroked her long purple hair. Her hair was soft and delicate, with a faint fragrance. Among his 6 women, the one with the best hair touch was undoubtedly Gu Yuna. Her silver hair was unbelievably soft and smooth, but if it was the most beautiful, Lu Yuan still felt that Bibidon's long purple hair was his favorite. After hugging for a while, Lu Yuan looked down at Bibidon's pink eyes and said softly, "Dong Air, I'll take you to dig for treasures. Do you want to come with me?" "Dig for treasures?" BB Don glanced at Lu Yuan with a trace of doubt in her eyes. What treasures could there be here? "Come with me." Lu Yuan smiled and held Bibidon's hand as they walked toward the lake outside the island. BB Don couldn't help but be surprised when she saw the completely frozen lake. She turned to Lu Yuan and asked, "You did this?" "Yes, I just used a little ice element to freeze it. The temperature of this ice is very low, and it's very hard." Lu Yuan nodded and said, with a casual wave of his hand, the entire lake turned into a block of ice. It was not just the surface of the lake. Otherwise, it would not be able to withstand the sea god dragon's gigantic body and terrifying weight. BB Don pointed at Neptunia's huge body and asked doubtfully, "You froze the entire lake for this?" He had already taken a soul bone and soul ring, so why was this body still so serious? "Yes, it's precisely for this body. This Neptunia's body is a treasure." Lu Yuan chuckled softly and said in an indifferent tone, "The entire body of a dragon was a treasure. How could Neptunia be an exception? Compared to an ordinary dragon, it had more treasures on its body." Chapter 1002. Its scales could be used to make treasured armor, and its defensive capabilities were absolutely astonishing. Its bones could be used to make weapons and even soul tools, and were definitely precious materials that were hard to find in the world. Its horns and tendons were also extraordinary, and were also excellent materials for weapons. Its blood could be used to concoct pills, and could even be used to temper one's body and greatly increase one's physical strength. Its flesh contained a large amount of blood and flesh essence, and was definitely very nourishing. The terrifying energy that filled its entire body, if absorbed, could probably increase the strength of all the savage beasts in the entire great star Douluo forest to another level. Furthermore, there were the natural treasures in the oceanic soul dragon's brain, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that its entire body was a treasure. Its entire body is a treasure indeed, but these scales and armor shouldn't be very useful for someone of your level. However, the remaining terrifying energy is still somewhat useful. If you absorb it, you should be able to advance. BB Dong carefully sized him up and said in a serious voice, "The energy is indeed useful, but I won't use it. I'm already a rank 89 soul Douluo, and my strength is increasing very quickly. It's better to leave this energy for others. I didn't bring you here for this energy, but for the thing in its brain." Lu Yuan lowered his voice as he spoke. "The thing in its brain? What is it?" BB Dong was curious. What good things could grow in its brain? "It's like this." Lu Yuan held Bibidon's hand as they walked on the frozen surface of the lake. As they walked, he said, "Aquatic soul beasts are different from soul masters on land. Once they grow to 100,000 years, their brains will produce some strange natural treasures. These natural treasures are very precious and have many wonderful uses. This Neptunia evolved from a deep-sea demon whale king, and the deep-sea demon whale king can be considered the strongest soul beast in the ocean. The treasures in its brain are naturally extraordinary. Now that it has evolved into a Neptunia, the natural treasures it produces must be even more precious. This is what I brought you here to dig up. Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested in ordinary things. Lu Yuan smiled gently and stopped beside the dragon's head. I see. Bibi Dawn was suddenly enlightened. But then, a strong curiosity arose in her heart. She also wanted to know what Lu Yuan could dig up. Are you curious? Looking at Bibidan's beautiful face, Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile. What do you think? Bibidan glanced at Lu Yuan. This was the first time she had seen such a thing. How could she not be curious? Hearing this, Lu Yuan smiled and said, Then I'll let you see it clearly. He put 2 fingers together and gently drew a line in the air. Neptunia's huge dragon head was split in half from the middle of its horns. The dragon head was cut open and golden blood flowed out. The thing inside was immediately exposed. In addition to the flesh and blood, there were pieces of golden, jelly-like paste. Neptunia's head was very big. Its body was 1,000 meters long, and just the dragon head alone was 30 meters long. The paste didn't occupy much space in the dragon head, only about 1/10 of the entire dragon head. Even so, there was still a considerable amount of it. It smells so good. Bibidan couldn't help but exclaim softly. This golden paste exuded an extremely rich fragrance. Not to mention Bibidan, even Lu Yuan had the urge to eat it. This should be Neptunia's dragon brain. It's definitely a great tonic. I'll make some for you later, Lu Yuan said softly. Okay. Bibidan nodded lightly, a smile on her beautiful face. She really wanted to taste this thing. The dragon brain is indeed precious, but the real precious thing is still in the brain. Lu Yuan said softly. With a light wave of his right hand, a large number of golden dragon brains were collected into Lu Yuan's star ring. When the dragon brains were almost all collected, a ball-sized golden bead suddenly appeared in front of Lu Yuan's eyes. Lu Yuan gently waved his hand, and the golden bead was held in his hand. This is... Bibidan looked at the ball-sized golden bead, and a trace of amazement flashed through her eyes. She could feel that it contained an extremely terrifying and pure energy. This was definitely a peerless treasure. Neptunia's dragon bead, a real treasure. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed. The energy contained in this dragon bead really tempted even him. No wonder the whale bead of the deep-sea demon whale king in the original work could transform into the Neptune's heart. Presumably, the original whale bead's energy was indeed quite huge, but the current Neptunia's dragon bead was obviously much more powerful. The energy in this dragon bead was none other than the purest divine power. Even for Lu Yuan, it was quite useful. It's indeed a good treasure. Quickly put it away. Bibidan praised, and then hurriedly urged. Dong Er, you don't want it? Lu Yuan asked with some doubt. I've already taken the most precious soul ring, and my strength has also increased to an unprecedented height. Although this thing is good, I'm already satisfied. You can keep it. Bibidan said softly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. Dong Er was quite satisfied. Since that's the case, I'll keep it first. As Lu Yuan spoke, he waved his hand and put Neptunia's dragon bead into his astral ring. Then what do you want to do with Neptunia's body? Bibidan asked softly when he saw that Lu Yuan had put away the dragon brain. After hearing Bibidan's words, Lu Yuan was silent for a moment. Originally, sending Neptunia's body to the great star dough forest for Ditian and the others to digest the energy within was a good choice. However, Xiaolan and Lanyan were there now. It was a little unreasonable for them to see the energy of the deep-sea demon whale king being absorbed by so many soul beasts. I'll send it to the sea god's island. The soul beasts there should need it. Na and the others can also absorb energy from it to improve themselves. Let's make full use of it. Lu Yuan hesitated for a moment before he made his decision. Since you've already made up your mind, let's do it this way. However, we're so far from the sea god's island. How are you going to get there? BB Don was a little curious as she asked. I can reach there instantly by tearing space apart. Otherwise, how do you think I came back? Lu Yuan chuckled as he replied. I see. No wonder I didn't receive any news of your return this time. It turns out that you directly tore space apart to come here. Obuchi, what level are you at now? BB Don couldn't help but ask. She recalled the terrifying aura that she felt from Lu Yuan when she had just broken through. That aura caused her soul power to become a little chaotic. What level? I'm about the same as an ordinary god. Lu Yuan smiled and replied softly. Chapter 1003. What? Almost the same as an ordinary god? Hearing Lu Yuan's words, BB Don couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Gods were legendary existences with unimaginable strength. The current Lu Yuan's strength was actually comparable to an ordinary god? BB Don was really stunned. She knew that Lu Yuan was ridiculously strong, but she really didn't dare to think that Lu Yuan's strength could actually be comparable to a god's. This was simply like a fantasy story. However, although she was shocked, she also believed Lu Yuan's words. Firstly, it was because of her trust in Lu Yuan. Secondly, her strength had already reached an extremely terrifying level, but Lu Yuan was still much stronger than her. Perhaps only a god could have such strength. Thinking of this, BB Don felt a little relieved. However, Obuchi was only a rank 89 soul Douluo, and his strength was actually comparable to a god's. This talent was really terrifying. BB Don secretly thought in her heart. You don't have to be so surprised. Comparable to a god is comparable to a god, but it's just an ordinary god. Compared to a rank 1 god like the angel god and Rakshasa god, there's still a big gap. Maybe I'll have to wait until I reach rank 98 or 99 before I can fight them head-on. After all, the higher the level, the greater the gap between gods. Looking at Bibidon's surprised expression, Lu Yuan said with a smile. This was not a lie. The gap between the gods was huge with every level. Currently, Lu Yuan was not much different from an ordinary rank 3 god without using the super divine weapon True Dragon Claw. However, the gap in soul power was too big, and he couldn't recover in time. In the end, he might lose. If he used the super divine weapon, he would be invincible among rank 3 gods. He could fight a rank 2 god head-on, and even occasionally gain the upper hand. However, it wouldn't last for long, and he would still lose in the end. If he used the True Dragon Claw, he should be able to defeat an ordinary rank 2 god. All in all, excluding the Godslayer's Spear, Lu Yuan should be on par with a second-tier deity. However, he was only a second-tier god. If he wanted to fight with a first-tier god, he was still far from it. Even if he became a titled Douluo, he wouldn't be able to defeat a first-tier god without using the God-slaying spear. The gap between a first-class god and a second-class god was much greater than the gap between a soul Douluo and a titled Douluo. Lu Yuan estimated that if he didn't have any other fortuitous encounters and didn't use the God-slaying spear, he would have to cultivate to rank 97 or 98 before he could fight a first-class god head-on. After all, a first-tier god was not an undeserved reputation. Although there were many such existences in the entire divine realm, there were definitely not many of them. There were only a few dozen of them. This was the divine realm that ruled over many planes. The angel god, the sea god, and the Rakshasa god were all first-level gods. The strength of first-level gods was not as simple as one might imagine. It's no big deal, just comparable to an ordinary god. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, the corner of Bibidon's mouth twitched. Were these still words that a human would say? Obuchi, do you know that sometimes you really need a beating? BB Don gritted her teeth and said indifferently, I know, but they can't beat me. There's no other way. Who asked me to be so strong? You can do whatever you want when you're strong, Lu Yuan said with a smile. BB Don, I know you're strong, but is it really good for you to be so arrogant? Even I want to beat you up when I see you like this. Do you know that? You're so King cheap. BB Dawn sized up Lu Yuan, her pink eyes carrying a trace of doubt and confusion. This man is obviously so outstanding, but why is he so cheap sometimes? How good would it be if you were more serious? BB Dawn thought secretly in her heart. Looking at BB Dawn gritting her teeth, how could Lu Yuan not know what she was thinking? He knew BB Dawn quite well. After all, among his women, BB Dawn was the most difficult to chase. What's more, until today, the matter between him and BB Dawn had not been completely resolved. How could he not put in more effort? Lu Yuan stepped forward and hugged BB Dawn in his arms. He kissed her forehead and said softly, I won't joke with you anymore. I may have to go to the Angel Hall later. You prepare dinner, and I'll come back to have dinner with you. Go to the Angel Hall? Bibidon's gritted teeth slowly loosened. Listening to Lu Yuan's words, she was instantly attracted. Is it related to what happened today? BB Dawn asked. Yes, but you don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of it one by one. Just wait for me obediently. Lu Yuan gently caressed Bibidon's cheek and said softly, BB Dawn nodded slightly and leaned into Lu Yuan's embrace. You just have to take care of it. No matter what the result is, I'll face it with you. Although Bibidon's tone was light, it was full of determination. Okay. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's heart was moved. He couldn't help but hug Bibidon's delicate body tightly. To be able to love such a woman in this life was truly a blessing. What more could a man ask for? After completely sealing Neptunia's body in ice and ensuring that the energy wouldn't leak out, Lu Yuan finally made his way to the Angel Hall. He was prepared to deal with Bibidon's matters before going to the Sea God's Island. In any case, he was just going to deliver Neptunia's body. There was no hurry. Lu Yuan's speed was naturally extremely fast. Not long after, his figure appeared in the Angel Temple. The Angel Hall hadn't changed at all. It still looked the same as before. Lu Yuan looked at the figure standing in front of the angel statue with his hands behind his back. With light steps, he walked straight towards him. The sound of footsteps rang out in the hall as Lu Yuan approached step by step. Finally, when he was 3 meters away from the figure in front of him, he suddenly stopped. You've come. Hearing Lu Yuan's footsteps stop, Sendoryu gently turned around and spoke indifferently. He still looked the same as before, as if he hadn't been affected in the slightest. Yes, I've come, Lu Yuan replied softly. You're not going to call me Grandpa anymore? Sendoryu stared at Lu Yuan with a powerful pressure. If I call you that now, it won't look good when we fall out later, Lu Yuan said softly. He turned a deaf ear to Sendoryu's so-called pressure. It looks like you've fallen too deeply. If this continues, you'll be destroyed sooner or later. It's not too late to withdraw now, Sendoryu said softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. His eyes flickered slightly. Fall? What do you mean fall? Will falling in love lead to eternal damnation? Lu Yuan sneered. I'm living a happy and carefree life right now. This is the life I've always dreamed of. You're telling me to withdraw? Chapter 1004. Do you want me to abandon this relationship? Not only will I suffer, but I will also make Dong Air suffer. In the end, I will only be heartbroken. Sorry, I can't do that. Lu Yuan glanced at Sendoryu and said firmly, You're living a carefree and happy life? Do you know that BB Dawn isn't a good match for you? You can fall in love with any woman in the world, but she is the only one you can't touch. Sendoryu said indifferently with an unquestionable tone. Is that so? But I've already touched her. I've even touched her a few times. I feel good about her. Why can't I touch her? Hearing Sendoryu's words, Lu Yuan smiled and said indifferently, What did you say? Hearing this, Qiandao Lu clenched his hands tightly behind his back. A fierce look flashed across his eyes. His originally warm face became indifferent, and his expression faintly revealed a hint of coldness. You actually touched her. Sendoryu stared at Lu Yuan with a cold gaze. In his opinion, no matter how bad the relationship between BB Dawn and the Qian family was, she was still a woman of the Qian family. Lu Yuan actually dared to touch her. This was undoubtedly a humiliation to the Qian family. Lu Yuan's actions had offended the dignity of the Qian family and violated Sendoryu's taboo. So what if I touched her? Do you have a problem with that? Lu Yuan raised his head slightly, and his eyes locked with Sendoryu's. Sparks seemed to fly in the air. Sendoryu's face was gloomy, and his expression kept changing. His aura was faintly rising. He looked at Lu Yuan, and the temperature in his eyes dropped. You want to attack me? Before you attack, let me remind you that you'd better estimate your own strength. I won't take the initiative to attack you, but I will defend myself. There are only 2 people in this world who can hit me, and I don't fight back, but you are not one of them. Also, to put it bluntly, you're still not good enough. Pasizi is on the Sea God's island, and he's even using the Sea God's trident, but he's still not my match. Do you think you can do it on your own? If you really want to get beaten up, I don't mind. Lu Yuan glanced at Sendoryu and said calmly. Upon hearing this, Sendoryu's pupils shrank, and his aura stagnated. Even Pasizi, who had the absolute advantage at sea, was no match for Lu Yuan, let alone him. It's only been 2 years, but your strength has increased very quickly. Sendoryu suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, Of course, I'm still young, and I still have a lot of room for growth. You, on the other hand, have already reached the end of your life. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention something. Dong'er's strength has also increased tremendously. He could take on 5 or 6 of you without any problem. Are you surprised? Angel Douluo Sendoryu, what a great name. However, everyone who knows you knows that you're the weakest ultimate Douluo on the continent. Compared to Tang Chun and Long Xiaoyao, you're far inferior in terms of talent and courage. No wonder Pasizi didn't like you back then. She's right. If I were her, I wouldn't have chosen you. Lu Yuan said calmly. Qian Dao Lu's firm opposition to him and Bibi Dong being together had completely angered him. The moment he opened his mouth, he said that he was in deep trouble, and if he didn't get out, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. He said that he couldn't touch Bibi Dong. Why should he really not touch her just because he said so? Furthermore, Sendoryu seemed to treat Bibi Dong as the Qian family's private property. This made Lu Yuan even more furious. Hence, he didn't show any mercy when he spoke. Bibi Dong could be said to be a taboo in his heart. Furthermore, after his bloodline had evolved, the might of the Dragon Clan had become even stronger. He hated it when people spoke to him in a commanding tone. Sendoryu was both. It would be strange if Lu Yuan had a good attitude towards him. Furthermore, he had always disliked Sendoryu. Now that he had made such a fuss, he was completely displeased. After hearing Lu Yuan say that he was the weakest ultimate Douluo, and that it was no wonder that Pasizi didn't like him, Sendoryu was furious. He looked at Lu Yuan, and his eyes seemed to be burning with flames. However, he still restrained himself. He was an extremely cautious person. In the original novel, he really didn't destroy the Clear Sky sect out of consideration for Tang Chun. Now, he still chose to be patient. He was already so afraid of Tang Chun, who had disappeared without a trace. Furthermore, Lu Yuan was standing in front of him. Under the oppression of absolute power, he had no choice but to be patient. Sendoryu exhaled deeply. He suppressed his anger and asked, Do you know who Bibi Dong is? I don't care who she is. I only know that she's my woman. That's enough, Lu Yuan said in a deep voice. Your woman? She's my son, Chihiro Diseases. I dare you to say it out loud. Lu Yuan's eyes were filled with anger, and he directly interrupted Sendoryu. Do you dare to link Dong heir to Chihiro Disease again? Do you believe that I'll completely destroy the inheritance of your angel bloodline? Lu Yuan said coldly. You dare. Sendoryu shouted sternly. Let's see if I dare. If you dare to insult Dong heir with something worse than Chihiro Disease again, I'll not only destroy the inheritance of your angel bloodline, but I'll also destroy the angel temple and the inheritance of the angel god. If you don't believe me, you can try. Lu Yuan's eyes were filled with anger. Although Bibi Dong had not been tainted by Chihiro Disease, the damage that Chihiro Disease had caused to Bibi Dong could not be erased. What's more, Bibi Dong had nothing to do with Chihiro Disease. Her virginity had been given to him. She was truly a pure person. Sindoryu dared to link BB Dawn with Chihiro disease. This was an insult to BB Dawn, and it really made Lu Yuan explode with anger. Lu Yuan dared to guarantee that if Sindoryu dared to say another word, he would immediately destroy the inheritance of the angel in the angel statue. He would definitely do what he said. As for Chihiro Snow, when the time came, he would just change his position. After all, there were many positions of gods. With Chihiro Snow's talent, he would not have to worry about not being able to find a god's inheritance. Seeing the anger in Lu Yuan's eyes, Sindoryu's heart trembled. It was really the first time that he had seen Lu Yuan so angry. The fierceness in his eyes was really terrifying. Sindoryu took a deep breath and said softly, "Okay, I won't say any more. Don't get agitated. Let's talk calmly." Seeing Lu Yuan like this, he had to take a step back. Lu Yuan was already a little angry, and he did not dare to confront Lu Yuan directly. Otherwise, if Lu Yuan really went crazy and destroyed the inheritance of the angel, he would cry. If you had said so earlier, everything would have been fine. Lu Yuan's anger quickly dissipated. He was a person who could be persuaded by reason, but not cowed by force. Sindoryu's tough tone made him strongly dislike it. However, Sindoryu himself did not expect that Lu Yuan would care so much about BB Dawn. He was really like a bomb that would explode at the slightest touch. It really caught him off guard. Chapter 1005. If you want to say something, just say it. But if you want me to leave Dong Air, you don't have to mention it. This matter is off the table. Lu Yuan looked at Sindoryu and said softly. As soon as he opened his mouth, what Sindoryu wanted to say was completely sealed in his mouth, making him feel very uncomfortable. After a long time, Sindoryu sighed softly and said, "Then let's not talk about BB Dawn. Let's talk about Cher. Do you still love her?" Since directly talking about BB Dawn was off the table, then Sindoryu would use a roundabout way to save the country, starting with Cher. What do you think? Do you still need to ask? Lu Yuan raised his eyelids and was too lazy to pay attention to this old man. How could he not love Chihiro Snow? This was his first love, the only person he fell in love with at first sight. She was the woman he wanted to marry at first sight. Don't love her? Who else could he love? Since you still love Cher, that's good. Cher is also deeply in love with you. I don't think you want to see her sad, right? Sindoryu asked. Aren't you talking nonsense? Naturally, I want her to be happy forever. The last thing I want to see is her sad tears. Lu Yuan glanced at Sindoryu and said angrily, "Well, let me ask you again. Do you think Cher will be happy if you and BB Dawn are together? Will she not be heartbroken and cry? Is it even possible for him to commit suicide? Since you love her, then don't hurt her. Do you know how much damage you and BB Dawn will cause to Cher? She will completely collapse. Do you understand?" Sindoryu asked sternly. He was really angry. Besides the fact that Lu Yuan touched the BB Dawn and offended the Qian family's dignity, he also felt sorry for Chihiro Snow. If Chihiro Snow knew about this, he would be completely heartbroken. Cher won't break down. I won't let her break down either. I don't want to tell you the details. I'll explain it to Cher myself. I can only say that there are no taboos between me and Dong Air, and I will not hurt Cher. It's just that there are many twists and turns that I can't explain in a short time. When Cher comes back, I will tell her everything. As for your laughable Qian family's dignity, there's no need to mention it. Dong Air has never had anything to do with your Qian family. If you don't agree, then it's useless to say anything more. I'm leaving first. When Cher comes back, tell her to look for me. I'll be waiting for her." Lu Yuan said softly, then turned around slightly and said calmly, "Also, one last thing to tell you. The Martial Soul Palace is no longer the Martial Soul Palace of the past, and it's not the Martial Soul Palace of your angel bloodline. It now belongs to me and Dong Air, so you'd better not interfere. Don't worry about your own matters. Help Cher to become a god with all your heart. For the sake of our many years of friendship, I'll save your life during the 9th examination so that you won't die on the spot." As for other things, you don't have to worry about them. After Lu Yuan finished speaking, he walked straight out of the Angel Palace. Not long after Lu Yuan left, Golden Crocodile walked in. He looked at Sindoryu and asked, "Big brother, how did your discussion go?" Sindoryu shook his head and said, "This kid is completely obsessed. He's been bewitched by BB Dawn. He's not clear-headed anymore. I can't do anything about it. Fortunately, this kid still cares about Cher. So, send a message to Cher and ask her to come back. I hope she can solve all of this successfully. Otherwise, the Martial Soul Palace will be in danger." Sindoryu didn't believe a single word Lu Yuan said that BB Dawn had nothing to do with the Qian family. Instead, he thought that Lu Yuan was already a little obsessed. So, he immediately ordered Chihiro Snow to come back and take care of everything. Cher will be very sad when she finds out about this, won't she? Golden Crocodile sighed. It can't be helped. If Cher doesn't come back and this kid and BB Dawn continue to interact, it won't just be Cher being sad. When the time comes, she will be destroyed. That kid will be destroyed. The entire Martial Soul Palace will be destroyed. Sindoryu's eyes flickered, and he sighed faintly. "I understand. I'll send a message right now," Golden Crocodile said, and turned to leave the Angel Palace. Seeing Golden Crocodile leave, Sindoryu clenched his fists and then gently released them. "I hope Cher can convince this kid." Sindoryu's eyes flickered, and he sighed lightly. Lu Yuan walked all the way out of the Angel Palace. His hands were behind his back, and his eyes flickered with uncertainty. "Next time, I'll be facing Cher. That girl must hate me to death." And with Sindoryu adding fuel to the fire, the next time we meet, the situation won't be very optimistic. "Dong Air, why is it so hard for us to be together?" Lu Yuan shook his head and walked forward. Suddenly, a familiar ding sounded in his mind, and his body couldn't help but come to a sudden stop. Slightly closing his eyes, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up and emitted an unprecedented resplendent light. "You're back?" Lu Yuan had just set foot on the island in the middle of the lake when Bibidon's figure appeared in front of him. "Yes, I'm back." Looking at Bibidon's beautiful face, Lu Yuan faintly smiled and said, "You really haven't changed at all from that year." "No, there's still some changes. You've gained a mature beauty." Lu Yuan sized up BB Dawn, and his eyes emitted an indescribable brilliance. "What year?" BB Dawn slightly knitted her brows and reached out to touch Lu Yuan's forehead and said, "You don't have a fever. Why are you talking nonsense?" "Nothing. I'm just saying that you're becoming more and more beautiful and charming." Lu Yuan faintly smiled and grabbed Bibidon's jade-like hand and said in a soft voice, "Is that so?" Bibidon's beautiful eyes suspiciously looked at Lu Yuan and said doubtfully, "Of course." Lu Yuan smiled and pulled Bibidon's snow-white soft clothes and walked towards the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Lu Yuan sat down on the stone bench and put BB Dawn on his lap, and his left hand gently wrapped around Bibidon's slender waist. BB Dawn leaned in Lu Yuan's arms, and her beautiful eyes were flowing with brilliance. Her flawless face was exquisite, and her red lips were slightly opened, revealing pearl-like snow-white teeth. She was truly beautiful beyond compare. "So beautiful." Lu Yuan carefully sized her up and said softly, "Am I really that beautiful?" BB Dawn gently smiled. "Too beautiful." Lu Yuan sighed and praised from the bottom of his heart. Hearing this, BB Dawn gently smiled and gently pecked Lu Yuan's lips. Lu Yuan was a little stunned. He looked at BB Dawn with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The original BB Dawn would not kiss him like this. "Why are you looking at me like this?" Chapter 1006. I just feel that you've changed a little. You seem to be a little different from before. Lu Yuan chuckled. "I haven't changed at all. You, on the other hand, seem to have changed a little. I seem to like being close to you more." BB Dawn looked into Lu Yuan's eyes. Her beautiful eyes shone with a strange light as she spoke softly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's eyes flashed. He carefully sized up BB Dawn. Suddenly, He seemed to have thought of something. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile. Lu Yuan gently moved forward, held Bibidon's beautiful face, and kissed it. Bibidon paused for a moment, then responded passionately. After a moment, their lips parted. Lu Yuan licked his lips gently and said, "What a familiar taste. It's still so lingering." Bibidon stared at him blankly. Her eyes flickered. She felt that Lu Yuan was a little strange today. Looking at Bibidon's puzzled expression, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "I know you're puzzled, but don't worry. When Cher comes back, everything will be revealed. I'll also tell you everything you want to know." "Okay." Bibidon looked seriously at Lu Yuan, then nodded gently. "I believe you. I'll wait for that day to come." I knew that Dong Er is the most considerate person. Lu Yuan laughed loudly. Bibidon rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan and said, "Let's get down to business. How'd your talk with Sindoria go?" "How else could it be? We parted on bad terms." Lu Yuan spread his hands and said indifferently, "Did you have a fight?" Hearing this, Bibidong frowned slightly and asked softly, "There's nothing I can do about it." I wanted to be calm as well, but he was adamant about not allowing me to be with you right from the start. Later on, he even dragged you and Chinsun together. I couldn't hold it in. So your stubborn temper came up and you argued with him?" Bibidon asked. "Yes," Lu Yuan replied. Can't you control your temper a little? Isn't your composure usually very good? Why are you so impulsive this time?" Bibidong complained. "Usually, it doesn't matter. But when he talks about you, I tend to go to extremes. To me, you're my reverse scale. When he talks about you, how can I hold it in?" Lu Yuan said innocently. Listening to Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon's heart warmed. She caressed Lu Yuan's face and said, "But have you thought about it? If you quarrel with him, he will casually say a few words. Cher will be even angrier. At that time, it will be even more difficult for you to resolve. You dare to quarrel with Sindoryu and even get angry. But do you dare to get angry with Cher?" "I dare to do this. There's nothing I don't dare to do. But I just can't bear to. Let alone get angry. I can't even bear to say a few words." Lu Yuan smiled bitterly and said lightly, "Then how are you going to deal with Cher? Maybe she will come with her sword when the time comes." Bibidong asked, "How else can I deal with her? Let her vent her anger first. At worst, I'll just let her slash me twice. When she's done venting her anger, I'll tell her the truth. Naturally, Cher will be convinced." Lu Yuan said in a relaxed tone. "Let her slash you twice? Are you crazy? What if you get hurt? I won't allow you to mess around." Bibidong said in a serious tone. "It doesn't matter. My skin is rough and my flesh is thick. It's okay to take 2 slashes." Lu Yuan said with a smile. "That won't do. I absolutely won't allow anyone to hurt you in front of me." "No one," Bibidong said firmly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's heart warmed. He hugged Bibidong tightly and said softly, "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." "What do you mean what you're doing?" "When you see Cher, you don't have any sense of propriety. If Cher really makes a scene, you won't be able to handle it. But I'm not worried. Anyway, I'll follow you. I won't let you do such a stupid thing that's equivalent to self-harm." Bibidong said lightly. "You." Lu Yuan sighed softly. There was a trace of helplessness in his tone, but his heart was filled with joy. He could feel the strong love from Bibidong. Lu Yuan's mind sank slightly as he closed his eyes and sensed. He could see a round and smooth golden core spinning in his middle dantian, exuding extremely rich and pure soul power undulations from it. "I'm only one step away from rank 90. Lu Yuan felt the soul power in his body that was much stronger than before. His eyes flashed. He took another step, and the gap between him and the god realm narrowed by a little. His right hand touched his astral ring. Inside the ring, there was a golden card that emitted a strange light. The sun was blazing, and there were a few white clouds floating in the blue sky. Suddenly, a golden light swept across the sky, leaving behind a dazzling long scar. Outside the martial soul palace, a guardian knight shouted as he saw the golden light sweeping over. "Who's there? Get out of my way!" A delicate shout rang out, and a newcomer revealed herself. For pairs of pure white wings flapped gently behind her, and 8 yellow, purple, black, red, and red soul rings flickered with dazzling light. A sacred and dignified aura emanated from her body and instantly engulfed the entire area. "Greetings, holy maiden." Seeing the newcomer's figure, the guardian knight hurriedly knelt down and saluted. Chihiro Snow snorted. She flapped her wings and directly flew in. After entering the palace, Chihiro Snow's figure paused. She looked in the direction of the pontiff's palace, and a trace of hatred appeared on her face. 2 clear lines of tears flowed down her cheeks. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. She glared hatefully, but in the end, she flapped her wings and rushed in the direction of the Angel Temple. In the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Lu Yuan had just picked up a cup of tea. Suddenly, his expression froze, and he said indifferently, "Cher is back." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon's delicate body trembled, and she said softly, "It's been 2 days. Cher should be back. I can feel her sadness and resentment. It's very strong, and it's very painful." Lu Yuan's eyes flickered slightly, and there was a trace of heaviness in his voice. He finished the tea in one gulp, and the expression on his face was not good. "This is very normal. To be honest, if I were Cher, I would be like this too. I would be very sad and resentful. But this is just because she doesn't know the truth. When she knows, she won't be resentful." Bibidon said softly, "I know. It's just that my heart aches a little." Lu Yuan laughed bitterly and said, "You're feeling heartache now? It's still early. You'd better be prepared to explain. When it's clear, you'll have plenty of opportunities to feel sorry for her. Cher is angry now. It's useless for you to feel sorry for her." Bibidon said seriously. Chapter 1007. Of course I'm aware of this. I've already made all the preparations. When the time comes, I'll definitely be able to explain everything clearly. Lu Yuan spoke softly, his voice brimming with confidence. "That's good." Bibidon nodded and said softly. Lu Yuan smiled gently and held Bibidon's hand, saying, "Dong Air, after we've dealt with Cher's matter today, let's make an announcement. I want the entire continent to know that you're my woman. We don't have to hide anymore. We could be together openly." Lu Yuan's tone was very soft, but extremely resolute. He knew that what Bibidon wanted the most right now was to be together openly with him. "All right," Bibidon replied softly. Her heart was filled with emotions. She leaned slightly into Lu Yuan's embrace and felt the warmth of Lu Yuan's embrace. Her expression was serene. Lu Yuan reached out and hugged Bibidon's delicate body. He buried his head in Bibidon's soft purple hair and gently breathed in the refreshing fragrance of her hair. The two of them quietly hugged each other like this. Both of their hearts were extremely calm. A gentle breeze blew the willow branches, and the air was filled with the fragrance of flowers. The two of them snuggled up to each other. The scene seemed to have quietly frozen at this moment. In the Angel Temple, a golden light flashed, and Chihiro Snow's figure immediately appeared. 4 pairs of snow-white wings were retracted. Chihiro Snow had already withdrawn her martial soul. She took light steps forward and walked forward. In front of the angel statue, Sendoryu and the golden crocodile appeared. "Grandfather," Chihiro Snow called out softly. Her pleasant voice immediately resounded in the Angel Temple, carrying a faint echo. "Cher, you're back." Sendoryu turned around and looked at Chihiro Snow with a warm smile. "Miss," the golden crocodile saluted. "Grandpa Golden Crocodile, you don't have to do this," Chihiro Snow quickly said when he saw Golden Crocodile bowing. "I've said before, you don't have to be so formal and private. Just call me Cher." "Obuchi thinks so too," Chihiro Snow said habitually, but when she mentioned Lu Yuan, she suddenly paused and her expression became gloomy. "Obuchi," the golden crocodile sighed and said with a trace of regret, "Cher, Obuchi has changed. I don't even recognize him anymore. He used to be filial and polite, but now, Sai, it's hard to explain." The golden crocodile thought of Lu Yuan's recent behavior and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Although he didn't offend him, he always felt that Lu Yuan had distanced himself from him. Sendoryu also sighed, thinking of the anger and fierceness in Lu Yuan's eyes that day. He couldn't help but tremble. He had never seen Lu Yuan like that. When BB Dawn was mentioned, it was as if he had become a different person. His expression was quite terrifying. Hearing this, Qian Renshua tightly bit her red lips with her silver teeth. Her golden eyes were filled with tears, but she forcefully held them back and did not allow them to fall. Chihiro Snow clenched her fists and tried to calm her emotions. She looked up at Sendoryu and asked, "Grandpa, can you tell me more about Obuchi's current situation?" Sigh. Sendoryu looked at Chihiro Snow, who was trying hard to control her emotions and only felt a throbbing pain in his heart. Seeing his granddaughter so sad, his heart was also very uncomfortable. Then, in his heart, there was a strong dissatisfaction with Lu Yuan, who caused all of this. "It's like this." Sendoryu gently opened his mouth and told Chihiro Snow the conversation with Lu Yuan that day, without missing a word. Creak. Chihiro Snow clenched her fists so hard that they made creaking sounds. A trace of flame flashed in her golden eyes, and her expression became extremely angry. "Good Lu Yuan, how dare you be so rude?" When Chihiro Snow heard that Lu Yuan and Sendoryu were quarreling, her heart was suddenly filled with anger. She did not expect that Lu Yuan would not even care about propriety and quarrel with Sendoryu. Obuchi has indeed changed a little recently. It's all because he was poisoned by BB Dawn too deeply. The golden alligator Douluo interrupted. Hearing Golden Crocodile's words, Chihiro Snow was silent for a moment. After a while, she asked softly, "Grandpa, did you just say that he touched BB Dawn?" Chihiro Snow's voice trembled slightly, and there was also a bit of uncontrollable anger. "Yes, not only did he touch him, but he also did not regret it," Sendoryu said. As soon as these words came out, Chihiro Snow suddenly felt like she was struck by lightning. Her expression changed several times. Her fists were tightly clenched, and her face was ashen. The anger in her heart had reached its peak. She originally thought that Lu Yuan and BB Dawn were simply together. She did not expect that they would actually have sex. Share. Now that Lu Yuan has really gone too far, none of us can persuade him. The only one who can persuade him is you. If we let him go on like this, not only will the relationship between you and him collapse, the Martial Soul Palace will also not be spared. The Martial Soul Palace has developed to its current state with great difficulty. If it is destroyed like this, we will all be sinners of the Martial Soul Palace. Sendoryu said in a heavy tone, "Grandpa, this has nothing to do with you. This is all Lu Yuan and Bibidan's fault. I will make a trip there. I want to see how he will explain it to me." Chihiro Snow shook her head, and there was a trace of indescribable anger in her voice. "Then go share. But you have to be careful. If you can't persuade him, then don't. Don't do anything rash. The current Lu Yuan has become a little different." Sendoryu could not help but exhort when he recalled the ferocity in Lu Yuan's eyes that day. "Grandpa, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Also, I don't believe that he will dare to do anything to me," Chihiro Snow said softly, and turned to walk out of the hall. Looking at Chihiro Snow's back, the golden crocodile asked softly, "Big brother, do you think Cher will succeed?" "I hope she succeeds. Otherwise..." Sendoryu suddenly stopped, and there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Otherwise, everything will be over," Golden Crocodile added. A dragon's roar resounded under Chihiro Snow's feet. Her figure turned into a streak of golden light and quickly swept in the direction of the pavilion in the middle of the lake. The dragon swimming in the great void was something that Lu Yuan had once taught Chihiro Snow during the 9 steps to heaven examination. Chihiro Snow's lily-white hand gently stroked her heart. She only felt waves of throbbing pain. She really wanted to cry out loud, but her pride did not allow her to shed tears before she even saw Lu Yuan. "Lu Yuan, you have let me down," Chihiro Snow shouted in a low voice. Her silver teeth were tightly clenched, and the expression on her face was uncertain. She once again increased her speed. There was indeed some distance between the angel temple and the island in the middle of the lake, but it was no match for the speed of the dragon swimming in the great void. In less than a moment, Chihiro Snow had already arrived outside the island. Chapter 1008. Qian Rinchue's eyes flashed with surprise as she looked at the lake that was completely frozen and the huge sea god dragon's body that was clearly visible under the lake. However, she threw all of this to the back of her mind in the blink of an eye. She had not come here for this. Chihiro Snow's golden eyes scanned her surroundings as she walked on the lake. Suddenly, her expression froze, and a fury that she had never felt before surged in her heart. Lu Yuan and Bibi Don were hugging each other tightly. This instantly crushed the last line of defense in Chihiro Snow's heart. Seeing was believing. Sendoryu's extravagant words couldn't compare to the impact that this scene had on Chihiro Snow. Looking at Lu Yuan burying his head in Bibi Dong's hair with an expression of enjoyment, Qian Rinchue only felt a rush of hot blood rushing to her head. Her temperament, her rationality, everything had completely turned into the most primitive anger at this moment. "The two of you are too much," Chihiro Snow shouted, and a mysterious and ancient chant sounded. The eight-winged angel was instantly attached to his body, and holy golden light scattered. Chihiro Snow's 8 soul rings, yellow, purple, black, red, and red, flickered with dazzling light. Chihiro Snow casually clenched his fist, and the holy sword appeared in his hand. The holy sword was no longer a Class 7 soul tool, but a genuine Class 9 soul tool. It was worth mentioning that Lu Yuan already possessed the ability to create Class 9 soul tools when his spiritual power reached its limit. Chihiro Snow's holy sword was the first and only Class 9 soul tool that he had ever created. He had given it to Chihiro Snow before he went to the palace on Sea God's Island. Lu Yuan had spent a lot of effort on this holy sword back then. The materials used to create it were excellent. He had used 5 soul bones that were more than 10,000 years old, and there were many high-level soul arrays. The metal used to create it was the extremely rare Sun Essence Gold, which was very compatible with Chihiro Snow. Lu Yuan was never stingy with Chihiro Snow. He was willing to give her anything that was suitable for her. Chihiro Snow was a rank 85 soul Douluo. However, with the strength of her martial soul and the Class 9 holy sword in her hand, even a rank 95 transcendent Douluo wouldn't be her match. Among Chihiro Snow, Hulina, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong, Chihiro Snow was the strongest and also the most talented one. Lu Yuan only regained his senses after hearing Chihiro Snow shout. It wasn't that he and Bibi Don weren't sensitive enough and couldn't sense Chihiro Snow's arrival. On the contrary, they were very sensitive. Lu Yuan could sense Chihiro Snow when he first entered the palace. It was impossible that he couldn't sense him now. The reason why he didn't react was because he and Bibi Don were intoxicated. The two of them were hugging each other, and it felt like they had forgotten about everything around them. They didn't even sense Chihiro Snow's arrival on the island. "Cher." Lu Yuan couldn't help but mutter as he looked at Chihiro Snow. "Is Cher here?" Bibi Don also reacted at this moment and asked. "Yes." Lu Yuan nodded. Suddenly, his expression changed. He immediately hugged Bibi Don and turned his body around to shield Bibi Don. Clang! The holy sword struck Lu Yuan's back and caused sparks to fly. After attaining a Class 2 godly body, even a Class 9 holy sword couldn't hurt Lu Yuan. However, Lu Yuan's clothes were torn open by the holy sword. The flames that the holy sword carried also burned a huge hole in Lu Yuan's clothes. Bibi Don only reacted at this moment. He looked at Lu Yuan and was very anxious. "Obuchi, are you all right?" "Don't worry, I'm fine," Lu Yuan said and gently put Bibi Don down. Then, he turned around and looked at Chihiro Snow. "Cher, are you crazy? Are you trying to kill Dong Air?" "I'm not crazy. Even if I am, it's because you guys forced me to." You shameless asterisk starts. Do you know what you're doing? I want to kill her. I want to kill her. I want to kill this shameless woman. Chihiro Snow's golden eyes turned a little red. The veins on her jade-like hand that was holding the holy sword were popping out. It was obvious that she was using all her strength. Her expression was a little ferocious and filled with an indescribable fury. Because of her cold childhood, she had always hated BB Dawn. Now that BB Dawn had snatched away Lu Yuan, her hatred for BB Dawn had really risen to an extreme level. The current Chihiro Snow's emotions were extremely unstable. She was only one step away from completely losing control. Lu Yuan naturally saw Chihiro Snow's state and his heart ached. He took 2 steps forward and got closer to Chihiro Snow. He said softly, "This matter has nothing to do with Dong Air. It's all my fault. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Do you think I don't dare?" Chihiro Snow's eyes were red. The aura on her body was steaming, carrying a biting, cold, murderous aura. "I know you dare. It's my fault for making you sad. Just kill me." Lu Yuan held the holy sword blade and placed it on his neck. He looked deeply at Chihiro Snow. "Obuchi, don't mess around." Seeing Lu Yuan's actions, BB Dawn was anxious and immediately cried out, "Chihiro Snow, if you dare to do this, I will definitely kill you." BB Dawn looked at Chihiro Snow with sharp eyes. Hee. Chihiro Snow sneered and said, "Stop pretending. Do you think I don't know? The holy sword can't hurt you at all. You want me to kill you? Do you think I'm still as gullible as before? All right, then you can use it." Lu Yuan waved his right hand, and the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear appeared in his hand. He pointed the spear's tip at himself and said, "Share, as long as you give me a light push, you can kill me. If you're really angry, then kill me. I only hope that after you kill me, you won't make things difficult for Dong Air." "Obuchi," BB Dawn shouted. "Dong Air, don't worry about it. This is a matter between me and Cher. Let's deal with it," Lu Yuan said in a soft voice. Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan in a daze. Looking at the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear's tip that was shining with a sharp cold light, she actually felt a bit of retreat in her heart. If the spear pierced down, Lu Yuan would really die. At this moment, all her doubts were gone. "Cher, what are you still hesitating for?" Lu Yuan urged in a soft voice. "Don't force me." Chihiro Snow retreated 2 steps. Her expression was full of pain. Her tender body was slightly trembling, and the hand that was holding the holy sword was also trembling. "I'm not forcing you. Don't you want to kill me to vent your anger? Then kill me. Everything was caused by me. I made you sad. I'm sorry. If you really want to vent your anger, killing me is the best choice," Lu Yuan said indifferently. Chapter 1009. Lu Yuan's voice was very flat, but in Chihiro Snow's ears, it made her heart tremble, and her emotions fluctuated violently. "Don't say it." Chihiro Snow's face was full of pain, and tears fell from her eyes. She couldn't do it, even if she hated him to the extreme, but when she really had to kill Lu Yuan, she still couldn't bring herself to do it. When she thought of the scene of the spearhead piercing Lu Yuan's throat, she felt a throbbing pain in her heart, as if a knife was cutting her. Although her methods were ruthless, how could she possibly kill the love of her life? Even if her heart was driven by anger, and she was on the verge of losing control of her emotions, and she wanted to vent her endless rage, but when she really had to kill Lu Yuan, she still shrank back. She didn't want to kill Lu Yuan. At this moment, she hated her own cowardice so much. It was obviously this man who had wronged her, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. Looking at Chihiro Snow's face full of pain, Lu Yuan sighed in his heart. Chihiro Snow was in such pain, and his heart also didn't feel good. Putting away the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, Lu Yuan walked towards Chihiro Snow. "What are you doing? Don't come over." Seeing Lu Yuan walking over, Chihiro Snow didn't know why, but there was a little fear in her heart. She took 2 steps back, wanting to increase the distance between her and Lu Yuan. But Lu Yuan was even faster, and directly went forward and hugged her into his arms. "Let go of me! Let go of me!" Chihiro Snow violently struggled. Lu Yuan didn't move at all. Instead, he hugged her even tighter. He looked at Chihiro Snow's red lips and directly kissed it. Woo! Chihiro Snow's left hand hammered Lu Yuan, wanting to push him away, but with her little strength, how could she break free? Lu Yuan kissed Chihiro Snow's red lips. He held her head with one hand and didn't let go. Chihiro Snow was so angry that she bit Lu Yuan's lips with her silver teeth. The salty taste of blood immediately filled her mouth. A stinging pain came from his lips. However, Lu Yuan didn't seem to notice. He continued to explore Chihiro Snow's red lips. After a long time, Chihiro Snow finally stopped struggling. 2 lines of tears flowed from the corners of her eyes, and the divine sword that she had been holding tightly in her right hand fell to the ground with a loud sound. Chihiro Snow had completely lost the ability to resist. He was completely at the mercy of Lu Yuan. His pair of golden eyes stared straight at Lu Yuan, filled with tears. Lu Yuan's double pupils also looked at Chihiro Snow. Seeing Chihiro Snow's golden eyes filled with tears, Lu Yuan's heart filled with a trace of pity. He unconsciously softened his movements. He moved his hand away from Chihiro Snow's head and hugged Chihiro Snow with both hands. Lu Yuan gently kissed and only let go after a long time. Chihiro Snow's uncontrollable emotions had slowly calmed down. That violent rage had also more or less disappeared. Only his pair of golden eyes were filled with grief. "Shuai!" Lu Yuan called out softly. Chihiro Snow stared blankly at him. Suddenly, tears burst out. Her smooth and white cheeks were covered with tears. Her face was filled with a sad expression. "Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me?" Chihiro Snow hammered Lu Yuan's chest. She could no longer suppress the emotions that she had been feeling all this time. She began to wail. Her tone was filled with grievances and sadness. The sadness in her crying really made Lu Yuan's heart ache. "Share," Lu Yuan whispered softly. "You promised me. You made an oath. Have you forgotten? Did you forget your oath?" Chihiro Snow's face was filled with tears as she cried and questioned. "I didn't forget," Lu Yuan said. "Then why did you have sex with BB Dawn? You've clearly broken your oath. I said at the beginning that as long as you touched her, I would leave you. You clearly knew this, but you still touched her. So you chose her and don't want me anymore?" Chihiro Snow asked. "No, of course I want you. I will never give you up. I didn't violate my oath. Do you want to know why?" Lu Yuan looked into Chihiro Snow's eyes and asked. Chihiro Snow nodded blankly. Lu Yuan took a light breath and said, "Because Dong Er is not your mother at all. You're not related by blood at all." "What did you say?" Chihiro Snow was shocked. A look of disbelief surged on her pretty face. "BB Dawn is not my mother? How is this possible?" Qian Rinxue sneered and said, "If you want to find a reason, you should find a better one. If you deliberately fabricate these things, it will make me look down on you even more. After so many years, she has always hated me. Now you're telling me that she is not my mother. Do you think I will believe you? I know you don't believe it, but I have evidence." Lu Yuan said indifferently. "What evidence? Show it to me. I want to see what kind of trick you can play." Chihiro Snow said coldly. "Trick?" Lu Yuan chuckled and waved his hand gently. The golden dragon domain instantly spread out and completely sealed the surrounding space. Then he used his spiritual power to seal his spiritual sea. At the same time, he gently pointed at BB Dawn. "Obuchi." BB Dawn looked at Lu Yuan with a puzzled expression. "I only sealed Neptunia's spirit in your soul ring. It is not convenient for others to see what is going to happen next." Lu Yuan said indifferently. "Oh." BB Dawn nodded and seemed to understand something. She glared at Lu Yuan with a blush on her face. Lu Yuan smiled, and a camera made of a mirror beast bone appeared in his hand. He casually pointed, and a video appeared in front of the 3 of them. Bibidan's face immediately turned as red as an apple. She stretched out her jade-like hand and pinched Lu Yuan's waist. "You actually kept a video? Ahem, this is one of the most powerful pieces of evidence." Of course, I have to keep it. Lu Yuan coughed and said embarrassedly. You still dare to say that? So embarrassing. BB Dawn said coquettishly. Don't worry, I will destroy it after using it this time. Lu Yuan said. That's more like it. Bibidan's expression eased a little. If Lu Yuan kept such a thing, she would feel a little strange. Lu Yuan and BB Dawn talked happily. Chihiro Snow kept looking at them coldly. Her beautiful face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. This is what you want to show me? To see you guys having sex? Chihiro Snow looked at the two people entangled together in the video with a look of disgust. Don't worry, continue watching. Lu Yuan said softly. Fine, I'll continue watching. I want to see how shameless you guys are. Chihiro Snow said coldly. She opened her golden eyes and continued watching. Suddenly, her expression changed and she couldn't help but exclaim, How is this possible? Chapter 10:10. On the bedsheet, a blood-red plum blossom was so eye-catching. You saw it. Lu Yuan asked faintly. How is this possible? This is impossible. Chihiro Snow was shocked. Her eyes were full of disbelief. Everything in front of her had completely overturned her understanding. Nothing is impossible. This is the truth. The truth is that before I had sex with Dong Er, she was still a virgin. So how could she be your mother? Lu Yuan said softly. His eyes couldn't help but look at BB Dawn. Aware of Lu Yuan's gaze, BB Dawn smiled gently, her eyes full of love. Lu Yuan returned a look, his eyes full of gentleness. This is impossible. This is impossible. Chihiro Snow's expression changed rapidly. BB Dawn really wasn't her mother. She couldn't believe it, and she didn't want to believe it, but the plum blossom was so dazzling, announcing that this was the truth. Chihiro Snow couldn't accept it. She really couldn't accept that the woman she had hated for more than 20 years wasn't her mother. Share. Lu Yuan hugged Chihiro Snow, gently patted Chihiro Snow's back, and said, Accept the reality, Cher. Dong Er really isn't your mother. The truth is in front of you. No, I don't accept it. If she isn't my mother, then who is my mother? Who is? Why have I never seen her before, but have been despised by this woman since I was young? Chihiro Snow grabbed Lu Yuan's collar and questioned. Cher, don't be agitated. Lu Yuan said. Bullshit. How can I not be agitated? Tell me, if BB Dawn isn't my mother, then who is? Chihiro Snow shouted at Lu Yuan. You don't have a mother. Lu Yuan said loudly. What did you say? Chihiro Snow's mind suddenly went blank. She stared blankly at Lu Yuan and asked, What did you just say? I said, You don't have a mother. Lu Yuan said softly. Hee. Chihiro Snow sneered. She looked at Lu Yuan with cold eyes and said indifferently, I don't have a mother. Do you think I jumped out of a stone? Although she didn't jump out from a crack in a rock, it's not far from it. You really don't have a mother. Lu Yuan said in a deep voice. Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Chihiro Snow said with some amusement. It doesn't matter if you don't believe me. I have evidence. Lu Yuan said calmly. Hearing this, Chihiro Snow's heart suddenly thumped. She had a bad premonition. She looked at Lu Yuan and saw that Lu Yuan's face was full of confidence. Suddenly, the uneasiness in her heart grew stronger. She knew Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was a person who never fought a battle that he wasn't sure of winning. Since he looked so confident, he must have sufficient evidence to prove that it was most likely true. Thinking of this, Chihiro Snow couldn't help but panic. An inconceivable thought emerged in her mind. Could it be that she really doesn't have a mother? No, it's impossible. Chihiro Snow held on to the last trace of hope in her heart and looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan glanced at Chihiro Snow and BB Dawn. At the same time, he operated his mental power and images appeared in front of the two women. Mental manifestation. When one's mental power reached a certain level, they could use their mental power to manifest fragments of their memories. Lu Yuan pointed at the first image. It was the scene 2 days ago when Lu Yuan had just come out of the Angel Temple. There's something I haven't told you. Now it's time to tell you. There's actually a strange treasure in my body. This strange treasure is extremely powerful. It can even take me through time and space. 2 days ago, after coming out of the Angel Temple, I used this strange treasure to go back in time 26 years ago. Lu Yuan pointed at the first image and said slowly. 2 days ago, Lu Yuan was walking out of the Angel Temple with his hands behind his back. Suddenly, a jingling sound rang out in his mind. Immediately, Lu Yuan's figure came to a stop, and his mind was immersed. Ding! Sign-in mission issued. Sign-in location: Pope's Palace from 26 years ago. Sign-in time: 3 minutes. Sign-in rewards: 1 innate pure divine embryo, 1 titled Douluo draw card, and 1 Dragon King of Light's left leg bone. Hearing this sign-in mission, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up, and an astonishing light burst out from his eyes. A sign-in mission from 26 years ago? Lu Yuan touched his chin with his right hand and muttered softly, "Could it be related to Dong Air? I think so. I'm 19 this year, and Cher is 6 years older than me. She's only 25 years old. Wasn't that the time of the incident 26 years ago? Now it seems that I stopped that incident. So Dong Air was able to keep her virginity? Yes, that should be it." Lu Yuan thought to himself. It was because he went back in time 26 years ago to stop Chihiro Disease's atrocities that Bibidon's virginity was preserved. At this moment, Lu Yuan finally understood everything. Then how did Cher come about? What is this innate pure divine embryo? Lu Yuan's gaze landed on the reward. Needless to say, he was very familiar with the title Douluo draw card. He had used it to draw several title Douluo. Lu Yuan was also familiar with the Dragon King of Light's right leg bone. The Dragon King of Light was also known as the Holy Dragon King. He was one of the first 9 great Dragon Kings, in existence on the same level as the Water and Fire Dragon Kings. At his peak, he was also a first-tier god. Of course, he was also a Golden Holy Dragon, which was the ancestor of the Radiant Holy Dragon. There were always people who equated the Golden Holy Dragon with the Golden Dragon, but in fact, they were 2 completely different species. The Golden Dragon was much stronger than the Golden Holy Dragon. The Dragon King of Light's right leg bone was undoubtedly a god's bone. It was extremely precious. Lu Yuan was currently lacking a proper soul bone, and this soul bone had come at the right time. However, the system had rewarded him with things that he needed over the years. Perhaps he would need them in the future, so he was already used to it. However, he was a little confused about what this innate pure divine embryo was, so he asked the system if he didn't know. Instead of asking now, why don't you do the mission earlier? When the reward is given out, you will naturally know what it is. The system's cold voice sounded. Oh, you have quite the temper. But you're right. Lu Yuan nodded. He would just transmigrate and be done with it. He had experienced spatial transmigration many times, but this kind of spatial transmigration was still very rare. When he came to the Douluo continent, he didn't feel anything at all. He was unconscious. This time, he wanted to experience it. System, let's begin, Lu Yuan said indifferently. Just as Lu Yuan finished speaking, a circular door suddenly appeared. Lu Yuan's figure was immediately sucked in and disappeared. Chapter 10:11. Lu Yuan's figure was shuttling through a mysterious tunnel. A rainbow-colored light swept past Lu Yuan's body, bringing with it a peculiar power of time. Is this the power of time? Lu Yuan's eyes flashed with surprise as he felt the strange power that permeated the air around him. The 4 directions of heaven and earth were the universe, and since ancient times, they had been the universe. Space and time were 2 of the most mystical powers that had existed since ancient times. No matter which world it was, those who could control these 2 powers were all top-notch powerhouses. Compared to the power of space, the power of time was undoubtedly even more mystical. The power of time was extremely mysterious, connecting the past, present, and future. Perhaps there were still people who could comprehend the power of space, but there were very few people who could comprehend the power of time. At least in the Douluo continent, No one could comprehend the mysteries of the power of time. It could even be said that whether it was the power of order or the power of good or evil, they were all inferior to the power of time in terms of rank. Perhaps in the Douluo continent, only the power of law that Lu Yuan controlled could surpass the power of time. However, Lu Yuan's power of law wasn't just a type of power, but a fusion of the power of all things. It was very difficult to find a power that could surpass the power of time. What a wonderful power of time! It seems to be even more mysterious than the power of space. Lu Yuan said as he closed his eyes and sensed it for a while. That's natural. The power of time is one of the most advanced powers, and the Great Tao of Time is one of the most top-notch Great Taos. The system's voice sounded in Lu Yuan's mind. Lu Yuan nodded when he heard that. It was true that time was supreme and space was king. There were very few powers that could compare to the power of time. If the host is interested, you could try to comprehend it. It's a rare opportunity, and there might not be such an opportunity next time. That's true. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat when he heard the system's cold voice. He was probably the only person in the entire Douluo continent who had experienced traveling through time and space. After all, traveling through time and space was not something an ordinary person could do. Lu Yuan started to relax his mind as he thought about it, and started to comprehend the mystical power of time. After an unknown period of time, a hole suddenly opened beside the space-time tunnel, and a powerful force directly sucked Lu Yuan in. Is this the Pope's palace from 26 years ago? Looking at the familiar building in front of him, Lu Yuan could not help but mutter to himself. The Pope's palace did not seem to have changed much after more than 20 years. It was still as resplendent as ever. Who dares to trespass into the Pope's palace? Lu Yuan didn't bother to hide his presence. He stood in front of the entrance of the pontiff's palace and was immediately discovered by the paladins. Looking at the incoming holy knights, Lu Yuan's eyes flashed with a faint yellow light, and in an instant, all the holy knights were under his control. The Dicoria Hell Prison Light was the most powerful spiritual control skill. With Lu Yuan's current spiritual power that was comparable to a god's, it had an extremely terrifying power. Controlling these palace knights was a waste of talent. The paladins returned to their original positions. Lu Yuan patted his sleeves and swaggered towards the Pope's palace with his hands behind his back. "Teacher, I won't leave Xiaogang. I love him." The girl's clear and firm voice rang out in the Pope's palace. "Love him? What's there to love about that trash? And don't forget, you're the holy maiden of the Martial Soul Palace." A deep male voice rang out with a strong rage. "Even if I have to give up my identity as the holy maiden, even if I have to leave the Martial Soul Palace, I want to be with Xiaogang." The girl's voice was filled with determination and unyielding. Xiaogang. Hearing this name, Lu Yuan, who was on his way to the Pope's palace, twitched his mouth. He suddenly realized that he was a little unhappy. "I actually forgot that the one Dong Air likes now is you Xiaogang. Damn it, but fortunately, I have a way to deal with it." Thinking of the Dicoria Hell Prison Light's heaven-defying ability, Lu Yuan's heart calmed down a little. At worst, he could directly inject the memories of the later generations into Bibidon. It was simple and fast. And I have video data. I don't have to worry that Dong Air won't believe me. Lu Yuan laughed and continued to move forward. At this moment, in the Pope's palace, the dagger was revealed. A beast was about to commit his atrocities. "Teacher, let go of me. What are you trying to do?" Bibidon, who was grabbed by Chihiro disease, couldn't move at all. "Be quiet for a while, Dong Air. When you wake up, you'll completely belong to the Martial Soul Palace. You were born as a member of the Martial Soul Palace, and when you die, you'll also be a ghost of the Martial Soul Palace." Chihiro disease's eyes revealed a beastly look, and there was a lustful smile on his face. This smile made Bibidon's pupil shrink. Could it be that Chihiro disease wanted to? Thinking of this, Bibidon couldn't help but struggle fiercely. However, Chihiro disease's cultivation was much higher than hers. How could she break free? "Teacher, please don't." Bibidon begged as tears fell from her eyes. Don't move. I'll be gentle. Dong Air, I've raised you for so many years just for this day. I originally wanted to wait a few days before touching you, but you're leaving the martial soul palace for that trash. I can only bring it forward. I believe that with your genes and mine, we'll definitely be able to raise the best offspring. Chihiro Disease smiled lustfully, raised his hand, and chopped directly at Bibidon's neck. If this chop hit, Bibidon would definitely pass out. No! Bibidon let out a fierce cry, and there was a trace of despair in her eyes. Ha! Chihiro Disease's chop fell, but it didn't fall on Bibidon's neck. Instead, it was held in someone's hand. The figure gradually became visible. The newcomer had sharp eyebrows, a handsome face, and an extraordinary temperament. If it wasn't Lu Yuan, who else could it be? Who are you? Chihiro Disease couldn't help but shout in shock when Lu Yuan held his wrist. He tried to pull his arm back, but it was as if it had grown roots in Lu Yuan's grip. No matter how much strength he used, he couldn't pull it back at all. Chihiro Disease? Lu Yuan's eyes were cold as he spat out these two words. Insolent. How dare you call this Pope by my name? Arg. Lu Yuan looked at him coldly, his hand holding his broken right arm. Aunt. Lu Yuan said indifferently and directly kicked Chihiro Disease's body. Suddenly, Chihiro Disease's body was sent flying and blood spurted out of his mouth. This kick had already broken all of Chihiro Disease's ribs. Lu Yuan reached out with his left hand and pulled Bibidon's delicate body into his arms. Looking at that familiar, beautiful face, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. He reached out his right hand and gently wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes. He said softly, "Don't be afraid, it's all right now." Chapter 10-12. Lu Yuan's voice was clear, magnetic, and full of gentleness, making Bibidon's somewhat fearful heart slowly calm down. Feeling Lu Yuan's hand caressing her cheek, Bibidon couldn't help but feel a burst of shyness in her heart. Her cheeks were slightly red. This was the first time she was so close to someone. "Can you let go of me?" Bibidon gently moved her body and whispered. As a clean and honest girl, Bibidon couldn't accept being held in the arms of a strange man. Although this man was unbelievably handsome, so handsome that even she couldn't take her eyes off him. "Let go of you." Lu Yuan smiled gently. His smile was bright and warm. N. Bibidon nodded her little head obediently, her pink eyes looking at him expectantly. "I'm sorry, I can't." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Ah." Bibidon opened her little mouth wide. Looking at Lu Yuan's bright and warm smile, she thought Lu Yuan had agreed, but she didn't expect a direct turn of events. "Ha, I didn't expect you to have such a cute and innocent time." Looking at Bibidon with her mouth wide open and a face full of astonishment, Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. This was the first time he had seen Bibidon like this. The Bibidon of 26 years later was mature and understanding, graceful and noble, but she lacked this innocence and innocence. And now, he saw this trait in the Bibidon of 26 years ago. "You know me?" Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon wrinkled her cute and delicate nose and asked somewhat puzzledly. "More than no, we're very familiar." Lu Yuan smiled faintly. "I'm not lying. I'm very familiar with every part of your body. Have I seen you before?" Bibidon frowned. Her pink eyes sized up Lu Yuan. If she had seen such a handsome person before, she would definitely have a deep impression of him. However, she did not have any memory of this person. "Of course you have, but not now," Lu Yuan said. "Not now." Bibidon's delicate face showed a trace of confusion. What did he mean? Why is this person speaking so hard to understand? Furthermore, this person seemed to be filled with mystery. Not only was he ridiculously handsome, but his abilities were also extremely terrifying. Her teacher was a titled Douluo, yet he was able to completely cripple her teacher with just a few simple moves. Just how powerful was he? Could it be that he had already reached the legendary level of an exceptional Douluo? However, looking at his age, he didn't seem to be as old as him. It was impossible for him to have such a high cultivation. Bibidan's mind was in turmoil. What are you thinking about? Lu Yuan asked as he pinched Bibidan's nose. Don't touch me. Do you understand that men and women shouldn't touch each other? Bibidan avoided Lu Yuan's hand and said angrily, It's fine if you don't let go of me, but you actually dare to touch me. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you saved me. I don't understand. Lu Yuan shook his head and said seriously. After that, he hugged Bibidan even tighter. Bibidan, if not for the fact that I couldn't break free, if not for the fact that I couldn't beat you, I would definitely teach you a lesson. Bibidan's pretty face puffed up. She glared at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes and a look of indignation on her face. She didn't know why, but when Chihiro disease hugged her, she would be afraid and would struggle fiercely. That lecherous gaze terrified her. However, when this man in front of her, who was much stronger than her teacher, hugged her, not only did she not feel much fear, but she also felt very at ease. She even dared to throw a little tantrum, as if this man in front of her would never hurt her. Moreover, although this man in front of her had been teasing her, the doting gaze in his eyes couldn't be concealed at all. This gaze made Bibidan quite happy. More importantly, this man always had an aura that made her want to get close to him. Bibidan stared at Lu Yuan, but her heart was in turmoil. She clearly liked Xiao Gang, but when she saw him, she unconsciously forgot about Xiao Gang's figure and only had eyes for him. This feeling really made Bibidan feel a little strange. Lu Yuan chuckled softly as he looked at Bibidan's pretty face. Ask whatever you want, and I'll answer all of them. He had been with Bibidan for a long time. Even after 26 years, Bibidan's thoughts couldn't be hidden from him, let alone the pure and innocent Bibidan now. How old are you this year? What's your rank? Bibidan looked at Lu Yuan curiously. She wanted to know how old this boy, who looked even younger than her, was. I just turned 19 this year, and I'm a rank 89 soul Douluo. Lu Yuan naturally wouldn't hide anything from Bibidan, even if this was the Bibidan from 26 years ago. 19 years old, rank 89? How is that possible? Bibidan was astonished. She was 24 years old this year, and she was only rank 68. One had to know that she was the holy lady of the martial soul palace and one of the top prodigies in the world. However, this man in front of her was a 19-year-old rank 89 soul Douluo. This must be a lie. Bibidan looked at him suspiciously. Why can't it be possible? Nothing is impossible in this world. Lu Yuan chuckled. He couldn't help but pinch Bibidan's face again. It was full of collagen, and it felt good to pinch. Don't pinch my face. I already said that men and women shouldn't touch each other. Bibidan dodged Lu Yuan's demonic claws again and looked at him angrily. Ha! Lu Yuan chuckled. He didn't seem to care. Bibidan pouted. She looked at Lu Yuan silently. Even if you're rank 89, how can a soul Douluo like you defeat my teacher? He's a title Douluo? Bibidan questioned. Him? He's just a piece of trash. Furthermore, who told you that a soul Douluo can't defeat a title Douluo? Since when is fighting strength measured by one's rank? Lu Yuan extended his hand again as he spoke. Don't pinch my face. Bibidan glared at him and said coquettishly, All right, Sai. I just want to be close to you. Lu Yuan sighed softly and said, Who wants to be close to you? Bibidan muttered. Her expression turned serious. She said, Even if what you said earlier is true, the last question is, Who are you? Do you want to know? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. Yes. Bibidan nodded. Do you really want to know? Lu Yuan asked again. Of course. Bibidan said with certainty. I'm willing to tell you. I'm just afraid that you won't believe me. After all, my identity is very special. Lu Yuan said. I'm willing to believe you as long as you say it. Bibidan said. All right, I'll tell you then. Actually, I'm your future husband. Lu Yuan said with a serious expression. Bibidan was confused. Chapter 10:13. Is it fun for you to lie to me? Bibidan frowned her beautiful eyebrows. looked at Lu Yuan and said discontentedly, "Lie to you? I didn't lie to you. I'm really your future husband." Lu Yuan said with a sigh, "Hee hee, do you think I'm a fool?" BB Don sneered and said lightly, "Of course you're not a fool. You're very smart." Lu Yuan said sincerely. No matter when, BB Don was not a fool. Even now, she was pure and naive, but she was absolutely smart. "Then why did you lie to me?" BB Don said with some resentment. "I really didn't lie to you. I would lie to anyone but you. I told you that you didn't believe me, but you insisted that I say it." Lu Yuan said gently, "Umph. I thought you would say it seriously. Who knew that you were talking nonsense?" BB Don snorted and said, "I'm not talking nonsense. You'll know when you see it." Lu Yuan said and moved his head closer to BB Don. "What are you doing? Help!" BB Don saw this and struggled violently. She thought that Lu Yuan was going to take advantage of her. Ouch! A hand pinched Bibidon's face directly, causing her to cry out in pain. Lu Yuan looked at her and said snappily, "What are you crying for? I'm not going to force you. I just want to show you something." "What is it?" BB Don said weakly. "You'll know when you see it," Lu Yuan said and lowered his head again. "Don't move. If you move, I'll really kiss you," Lu Yuan said lightly, causing Bibidon's delicate body to suddenly stop moving. She stared at Lu Yuan with her big pink eyes. She watched as he came closer and closer until their foreheads were completely pressed against each other. Their eyes met. The two of them were so close that they could smell each other's breaths. BB Don could even smell the fresh scent coming from Lu Yuan's body. It was very clean and very pleasant to the nose. Her pretty face turned as red as an apple in an instant, and her little heart started to beat rapidly. Even her breathing became a little hurried. She had never been so close to a man before. "You seem a little nervous." Looking at Bibidon's shy and evasive eyes, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. The BB Don from 26 years ago was really innocent and cute. He had always seen the mature BB Don, but now, the little bunny-like BB Don really gave him a different feeling. Who's nervous?" I'm not," BB Don said, pretending to be calm. "So cute." Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh. "What?" BB Don asked. "I said you're really cute. You're really completely different from the future you," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "You're talking nonsense again." BB Don looked at Lu Yuan's eyes and said snappily, "What future you? You're just spouting all sorts of nonsense." "Whether I'm talking nonsense or not, you'll know soon enough." Lu Yuan stared at Bibidon's eyes. The memories in his mind turned into a ball of light that emerged from Lu Yuan's forehead and then entered Bibidon's mind. The sudden influx of a large amount of memories made BB Don suddenly stiffen. Her eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of confusion. Lu Yuan didn't disturb her. The memories were very large, and she needed to spend some time to sort them out. Lu Yuan and BB Don were very close. Their lips were only a few fingers apart. Lu Yuan could even clearly smell the fragrance of Bibidon's cherry lips. "It's still the same taste." Lu Yuan sighed in his heart. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in his mind. "Ding! Mission completed. Rewards issued. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an innate pure divine embryo, a title Douluo draw card, and a Dragon King of light left leg bone." Mission completed? Lu Yuan was delighted and began to check the details of the rewards. Lu Yuan knew about the title Douluo draw card and the Dragon King of light left leg bone. However, Lu Yuan was very curious about the innate pure divine embryo. An innate pure divine embryo is an innate pure divine embryo formed from innate pure Qi. It contains the purest Qi, but Qi cannot be born alone. If pure yang Qi can be integrated into it, yin and yang can be reconciled, and it can give birth to a new life. As it is formed from innate pure Qi, the life born will definitely be female. F*CK, what the F*CK? Seeing this introduction, Lu Yuan was completely dumbfounded. When he thought of the pure Qi that suddenly appeared from Chihiro Snow's body, he suddenly understood everything. So, system, Cher was born from this innate pure divine embryo? Lu Yuan secretly contacted the system. Yes, the system said coldly. So, Cher isn't a pure human? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask. If she was born from an innate pure divine embryo, could she still be considered a pure human? Then, host, are you a pure human? The system asked back. Lu Yuan, all right, he wasn't a pure human either. His body was created by the system using the blood of the golden dragon. In that case, Cher and I are a perfect match. We're not humans, but we're both humans. Lu Yuan laughed in his heart. You can say that, the system replied. Then, what kind of existence is Cher? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask. Host, do you know of the Snow Emperor? The system asked. Of course. Iceman is a creature born from the ice and snow of the extreme north. She can be considered a natural-born creature. Lu Yuan said. Chihiro Snow is about the same. The innate pure divine embryo belongs to the innate pure divine embryo. If Chihiro Snow was born, she could barely be considered an innate life form. The system's cold voice sounded in Lu Yuan's mind. An innate life form? That's true. Cher's talent is so high. If she wasn't born from Dong Air, it would be hard to explain where her talent came from. After all, Chihiro Disease's talent was ordinary. How could other women give birth to a daughter with such high talent like Cher? Now it's all clear. An innate life form. How could her talent not be high? Lu Yuan said in realization. Host, you're wrong. Chihiro Snow's true talent hasn't been unlocked yet. Don't forget about her second martial soul. The system reminded him. That's true. Cher's talent hasn't been fully revealed yet. I must find her the best second martial soul. What do you think of the Snow Emperor? As long as the host thinks it's good, the system said and went silent again. The Snow Emperor should be pretty good. It has the ultimate snow attribute and is a natural-born iceman. It's a perfect match for Cher. Lu Yuan muttered to himself as he thought. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.